Hello. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Hey, everybody. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I downloaded something I shouldn't have downloaded. Hey, but it is what it is. Sorry. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So how's everybody doing? Hey Claudia, hey Hawaiian, hey Lady Jasmine, hey Nova, hey LA, hey Anna, hey Joseph, hey Curtis, hey everybody. How are you? How are you? Yes, yes, yes. I'm glad to be here. Hey, so what's going on, everybody? This has been a really rough week in the YouTube world. It has been really a rough week. But you know what? The end is coming. We are at Wednesday. We only have two more days to go, and we're in the weekend. All the poor people in Texas, I feel so sorry for them, and so much is going on. Yes, please contact Louise. I'm good. Ginger's pretty good, and everything's going good so far. Let me see. What else? What else? What else? Oh yeah, I have my phone here too. Where is my phone? Oh God, I can't see. This is a bad day. Yeah, it's been a bad week. Oh, here it is. It's a bad week for the world. It's a bad week for the world. Yes, and Frugal Mom, I saw that. It's very sad. I saw that. Uh, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Mr. E, how are you? Haven't seen you for a long time. So glad to see you. Uh, and I'm glad to see everybody here. Where is Jojo? I'm so glad to see you're out of prison. Oh my God. Oh, hey, Familia Valdez. I know everybody's into the TikTok thing. Hey, Michigan. I get hooked up in there too. I like TikTok. I usually end up watching I watch the cats. Hey Jess, how are you? And I watch anything, just dancing. Actually, I like to watch the people dance. Oh boy. So you're so missed. It's very true. A page you can follow. I don't really have a page. Oh yeah. TikTok is pretty good. I like it. And I don't think YouTube can compete with those little shorts that they have. Miss Valdez, 2008. I'll check it out. I know it's supposed to snow again here. I'm so tired of snow. It's a time passer, I'll tell you. It's just like you go to the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. Then you get caught in this loop. That's all the videos you're getting. I mean, I've never been so tired of. I like winter, basically. You know, uh, I do. I basically like winter, but this is like forever. And every day you wake up, it's like cold, cold, cold. You know, and snowing and icicles hanging down. No one's gonna hit me in the head, and I can't reach. I'm trying to reach to knock them down, and oh my god. Hey Louise, I am so sorry for I got in here and I downloaded something on mistake, and my head's in my butt. Let me see. Yeah. Oh my god. We've been missing you, Mr. E. We need your videos, girl. Guy, we need your videos. Hey Jen, how are you? Good to see you. Who else? I know I missed some. If I missed you, I didn't mean to miss you. Sassy, how you doing? Hey Amby, how are you? Well, I when I got off, I fixed my. Aw, thank you. I'm so glad that you're going to be back. I fixed something to eat, then I took my shower, and I said, "Let me come on here now." Oh, thank you so much, AMB. I so appreciate it. What was it? What was the last mystery word? Rumpelstiltskin. Oh my God! Thank you, LA. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Rumpelstiltskin. Yep. Rumpelstiltskin. It was next week will be different. Thank you so much. I so appreciate that. I oh, thank you. I sit around and I think about them, I can't give it's got to be like I mean it does hit because Sassy hit it like one time. We had it, and Sassy, I think she got right in the very beginning. I said, "Well, that's over with." She guessed it right away. Nope, nobody guessed. Oh, you know, I just think of something. I don't know, but I'll tell you a hint. It's never going to be simple like Cynthia or you know, breakfast or anything like. It's never going to be anything like that. Nah, that's too. It's too everyday. So that's a hint for y'all. When you play, remember, it's not going to be something that you're going to hear every day. Yeah, checkers or hunt. No, no, nothing like that. I'm so glad you did. Let me text somebody. Let her know I'm on. Let me see. Hold on. always forget to tell people. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, there we go. So what else is going on in people's world? What's on your mind? Would you anything you know, whatever? I feel good today. I really do. No drama here really. It's been a pretty uneventful day. When I had to go out and pick up my dog's medicine, and oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Louise. Thank you so much. You're not my fan. Thank you so much. Thank you. Um, and I just came home, I was washing some clothes, and you know, oh my God, thank you. Oh my God, thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much, Life's a Trip. Oh my God. Y'all are spoiling me now. Y'all are spoiling me. Oh my God. Louise is the best. She is really a good friend. She always listens to me go off. I know Louise probably puts the phone down. The bitch is crazy now. Y'all have no idea. Oh my, oh my God. Oh, thank you, LA. I really appreciate that. I really do. Bridgerton, Bridgerton. I'm gonna check that out. I'm not like I have had what you call it, Netflix forever. I rarely watch it, but I did like the Cecil Hotel. Uh, you know what, Louise, you're the best. You are the best. I like that. I like the Cecil Hotel a lot. I like. Let me see what else do I like. I haven't watched too much, but I'm going to watch it. The Bridgerton. I'm going to remember that. Let me write that down because if I don't, I'm going to forget it. I need something to. I need something to watch. Aw, thank you so much. Life's a Trip. Aw. I so appreciate you all. Good night. Sleep well, lives. Hey, Mimi, how are you? Welcome. I like to find stuff to just binge watch, and I really do like to do that. Hey, Lucy, how are you? Well, welcome. I'm so glad you're commenting. Welcome, welcome. Hmm. I know. I love Lucy. Wait, I think I need to fix my screen a little bit here. Yeah, there we go. I usually like crime shows, I'll be honest. I like the crime and solving the crime sort of stuff. And usually I'm not into the period stuff, but I could watch it and sometimes it'll strike me and sometimes it won't. Ginger's under the bed. She's under the bed asleep snoring. She's happy because usually if I'm on the bed, I won't let her get underneath the bed. But if I'm not on the bed, I'll let her get underneath the bed. Hey, Can't Have Global Warming. How are you? Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, I watched Dateline, 48 Hours, all that stuff. Oh, Westies are so cute. I love Westies. They are so cute. She thinks she should. I text her. I told her I'm live. Oh, yeah. I like that movie, Linda. I really did. I really, really, really did. You're not going to be ignored. I like chihuahuas too. 13. Wow. I'm telling you. Good night. Uh, Good night. Can't have global warming. Sleep well. I bet you it did put the fear of God into, the fear of whatever. That's scary. That is scary. I'm not going to be ignored. I haven't seen that movie for probably many, 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 many years. Ah, very persistent. Yes, I remember that. Hmm. I wonder how many, things like that has really ever did anything like that. I'm sure it has happened a lot. Think about it. You have an affair and all of a sudden they want to end. It don't end like that. Aw. I think if a woman gets, has an affair with a man and, hey B, how are you? I think if a woman has an affair with a man and she's not done and he's married and he uses her and she's just a little bit twisted, it could turn real ugly real fast. It does. A lot of times it turns really ugly really, really fast. But usually the man is, I think the man is the one who goes kind of crazy. I think men, when they get dejected, they don't let it end so well, more so than women, because women aren't as violent, and especially if like a woman plays with a man's heart and then all of a sudden, oh well, forget it. I'm married. I want to go back to my husband. Well, what, bitch? Where you going? I don't know. It is playing with fire, playing with people's emotions, and like I said, if you're not, maybe if you're just a little bit crazy, could push you over that edge, just a little bit. Hey, B, what's going on? Lord. Um, that's very true. Well, that's true. Jodi Arias. Oh my God, she was crazy. Hey, Recordology, how are you? How are you? Jodi Arias was nuts. She was really nuts. Kid you not, nuts. Yep. Well, the thing about it is, I mean, I guess it's like when you get into it, it's all exciting. Just like any new relationship you get into, it's all exciting in the beginning. You don't see anything, you don't look at the signs. It's so cute. He calls me every hour on the hour. It's fun that she wants to talk to me hours on end. Oh, look at, he drove by my house. He cares. All of a sudden, 9 months into it, oh my God, he's driving by my house. He's calling me all the time. He's texting me at work. What the hell? In the beginning, it's fun and it's interesting. He really likes me. In the end, it's weird. You know, I don't know. Some people just don't like to have rejection. You can't reject somebody. It's not good for that. Yep, yep. It's not cute. Anybody want to come on panel? It's like, let me see. Hey Maggie, how are you? Welcome. Anybody want to come on? There you go. Yep. I know, like, I don't know, into getting in a relationship, you know, even in the best circumstances, you're single, they're single, you know, it's difficult. But then if you're already in a previous relationship, like if you're married or separated, you know, like myself, I've been married for like forever, but I've been separated forever, you know. And we have like this relationship, like, you know, I mean, we don't, I don't know. I mean, I've never thought about it, you know. But I do think that when you get in a complicated relationship with somebody and you end it, somebody might be a little salty, you know, and you know, be it him or her, you know. Come on, you know, be it him or her, you know, anybody would get kind of salty, you know. I had a friend, she was dating this cop. Okay. She was dating a guy, and her husband, she was separated. They were going to get a divorce. They are already filed for the divorce and everything like that. Okay. She started dating this guy, and her husband was a cop. Okay. We worked together at the store. Her and I worked together at the store. And he took her. He was on duty, mind you. He was on duty as a cop, mind you. And he took her and beat her butt. And in the end,
am I here?
You're here. Hey, welcome. In the in the end, he got fired from his job, okay, because he could not take the fact that they had already filed for a divorce, lived separately, and everything. They didn't have kids or anything, thank God. You know, her name was Shirley, and you know, he lost his job over stupidity. Over stupidity. You know, it was just crazy. It was totally crazy. So yeah.
Who was that, Pam? Was that somebody you know?
A lady I used to work with. She was married to a cop, and she started dating this other guy. And he found out, hey, William, how are you? Welcome.
Hi, William.
He found out, and he went and got her. He was on duty at the time. When he was on duty, he picked her up, went and beat her up with a gun.
Oh, Lord.
Beat her up with a gun. She was even on the news because when she went to the hospital, she was so beat up, and he lost his job. Yep. And I don't know if he went to jail. I'm sure he probably did. You know, if he didn't, he should have, you know, but it was crazy. It was truly crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, I've heard of and know of a number of cases like that. My sister-in-law, her sister-in-law, relative of her husband's, his sister was killed by her husband because she wasn't even really having an affair, but he thought she was.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in the middle of a divorce, and he said, "Well, you know, let's meet up and just talk about it. You know, we can fix this." And she said, "Well, she was afraid of him because there was a history there with him." And she said, "Well, no, I'm not really comfortable doing that." And he's like, "Oh, come on, we'll meet up in the church parking lot. How dangerous can that be?" Well, it turned out to be pretty dangerous. He shot her and killed her, blew her head off right there in the church parking lot. So yeah.
Relationship crazy anyway, you know. Oh, Cheaters, I watch that sometimes.
Haven't seen that one, Linda. Have not seen that one.
Oh my God. It's really a shit show. And I sometimes think it's fake, but it is a shit show. They are crazy. Like they go, like I guess the spouse will say, or the girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever will say, hey, I think my boyfriend is cheating on me, and can you find out? There's this detective. They go and they find out, then they confront, and there's always a fight, and somebody's always running around with no shoes on. I don't know why. I know
No shoes on. Bad time to get caught. You can't run away.
I know. Bye, Sassy. Take care. Be safe, and get some rest and stay warm. Hey, Sandy, how are you? Welcome. It's just crazy. I mean, people get all caught up in their feelings.
See,
Oh.
that sounds like the sort of show. I've never seen that one, but that might be ripe for setup, or like they're creating these scenarios. The producers are. I don't know. I've never seen it, but I admit I do like the ones that are based on real cases, though. I do find them really interesting.
What about that guy? That guy, his wife went on a business trip, came back. I can't think of her name right now, and it's like right there. It's right there. I can't think of her name. And he came back. He shot the kid. She was pregnant. Killed the kid. Killed her, and put him in like a tank or something.
Oh, you're talking about out in Colorado.
Yeah.
Chris Watts.
Yes.
And Shanann Watts. That was the woman's name. Yeah.
Oh my God, what a weirdo. I mean, why?
Yeah, that was crazy. Well, he had a girlfriend on the side. That's why.
I mean, is it worth it though? I mean, you're killing everybody, and do you really think? I guess they do think they're going to get away with it, but you're never going to get away with it. You're never, ever, 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 ever.
No, but did you know, Pam, that statistically, between domestic violence, and specifically when men murder their wife or partner, female partner, the most dangerous time for a woman in a relationship like that is when she's pregnant. Statistically, there's a disproportionate number of murders that occur then, and that kind of murder is called a family annihilator.
Oh.
There's an actual very well-known psychopathy behind it that underlies the reasons for that, which, really, I mean, it just sounds so unfathomable, to any rational person. But yeah, it's true.
I want to tell you about something I'm watching. I have a habit of watching court cases on TV. Okay. I mean, these are the actual court cases. Okay. I'm trying to find the name of this guy. He's on court case. I've been watching it. It's in Wisconsin. Green Bay, Wisconsin, right? Bye, Nova. Sleep well.
Bye, Nova. Good night. Good to see you.
And it's a court case in God, what is the name of it? God, my head. And it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube, and from the beginning to the very end. And this is like day 3 or 4. This man, what he did, well, the wife, they've been married for like 20 some years, okay? And the woman went through colon cancer. She has like mental illness, a really pretty bad mental illness. She attempted suicide several times. And God, let me try to find the name of it. Okay. And he took her. She ended up missing. Okay. He calls the police, and then I guess the police come out and look, and he goes to work. Never really looks for her. Nothing.
I think I know that. I think I know the case you're talking about. Yeah. So the trial's going on right now, Pam?
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Woman missing. Okay. I'm trying to. No. A trial. It's on, and the guy's really old, and let me see. Okay. Brown County. I'm trying to find the name because I want to tell you all, because it's on YouTube. It's like it's the actual trial. Okay, his name is James Prokopovich, and he's 75. Okay,
Wow.
on for like a long time. And they're in Green Bay. We're right outside of Green Bay. And I could.
Began today in Brown
County.
County.
I've been watching this thing, and it's like I watch it every day, and it's like, you know, I mean, it's like you're seeing everything. Hey, Ann, how are you? His name is James. Hold on. His name is James Prokopowicz, and he's 75, and he won't say. He says you'll never find her.
He actually says that. Wow.
He said you'll never find her. And what I think he did, he works at this company where they do something with paper, like, you know, and kind of like they grind it up or something, and and I think that's what he did to her. I don't know why he would do it, but he was very controlling. He wouldn't let her drive, wouldn't let her this, wouldn't let her that. He used to hide her medicine from her, but in his defense, she was suicidal, and so she'd take the medicine and, you know, try to kill herself. And you know, she didn't have the greatest marriage, and her kids seemed so less than interested in her. Her kids.
Oh, how sad! That's sad.
That
is sad.
I'll talk to you later, Anne. And it was like, really, I'm watching this trial, and I could just like, God, you know, could that be me? You know, because you get so, you know, when a woman becomes so dependent on a man, I mean, everything about her was like she, you know, she had the cancer, she had a colostomy bag, then it went to be an ileostomy bag. She didn't drive, she couldn't go nowhere, she couldn't escape, she couldn't nothing, you know, just kind of like stuck. Yeah. And then he had a girlfriend. This old man had a girlfriend. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, Lord.
You know, like thinking, yo, you probably can't do nothing, you know, and
yeah, but you know what? I think sometimes in those kind of situations, the dynamics, sometimes I don't even think it's about that. I think it's like you were saying earlier that sometimes it's like the excitement, especially in the beginning with these. Yeah. You know, if you get mixed up with someone who's married, especially, I don't know how old his girlfriend is or what her experience level or whatever is, what her situation is. Right. But it could be that it, you know, it has nothing to do with really, it might not even be about him per se. It's just like the perceived excitement. I mean, I shouldn't say perceived. It's real to people in the moment, right? For that time being. But
she reached out to she reached out to the family of his. I mean, the whole thing is.
Oh, how sick. That is crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, no, not really. He worked he drove a payloader. Yeah, James Prokopowicz. He drove a payloader. I mean,
wow.
What his job was. He had a farm and pretty decent little tiny house, he said, but I don't think he had any money. He was a gambler, and he drank. You know, he drank beer every day. I don't know if that makes you an alcoholic, but I don't think it does. You know, he drank beer every single day, they said. And I mean, I don't know why I get wrapped up in them and the shows, but it's just like, I'd rather watch something that's real and see the legal process than to watch, you know, these made up shows, you know. Oh, you are too. Oh, I see them and I'm like, let me see what's going on. I had watched another one where this man who killed his wife, and it's always they're killing the wife, you know, like, I mean, scary. It's really scary to me. Maybe that's why I'm afraid to be with men.
You know what? I mean, testosterone is no joke. I shouldn't be flip about it, but I mean, there are differences. I mean, there is a reason why that because as you were saying earlier, Pam, men and women, I mean, it's a generalization, but it does hold true. Generalizations sometimes really bear out. Men and women tend to react, not in every case, but quite differently. For one thing, say what you will, again, this is a generalization. Of course, there are exceptions, but by and large, straight men in straight relationships with women are pretty straightforward. They're
Yeah.
pretty black and white in their thinking. Women have all these layers. You ladies know we're
Mhm.
always thinking, why is he saying that? What is he thinking? Is it, a million layers? And he's just whatever he says is what it is. Take him at his word. He's not that deep. Even the smartest man in the world, they don't think like we do. It's a true thing.
That's very true. That's so we always think of oh, he loves me, oh, he's this, oh, he's that, and oh, he called me, oh, he wants to know where I'm at all the time. Oh, he put a thing on my phone. Oh, he just knows where I'm at. My husband did that to me, and I hated that. I was so mad. He put a tracking thing on my phone.
Oh, see, no, that's a bad sign.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very bad sign,
Yeah.
Never. I mean, you know what? And a guy hits you. Oh well, like Louise said, if a man ever hits you, he has to sleep sometimes. Then he hits hard with a cast. Oh, okay. I've never. This is one thing with me. Never will you hit me twice.
Me too.
I would walk through hell. I would walk outside with no shoes on, and you will never hit me twice. Now
I'll go further than that. You better not hit me once.
Well,
it's not gonna end well.
First time, but
yeah, no, I'm glad to hear you say that.
no, you won't hit me. Now I remember my husband and I, we got in some things, and he threw a gyros at me one time. But
you were like, finally, I'm starving. Thank you.
No, we were arguing, and I was like, I don't even know what the thing was, but it was, and then he one time, it's just like, never hit me because he knew. I told him, first of all, I'll leave here. And I'll leave you with the kids now.
yeah.
No, but we never did that. We never got it like that. But I can deal with arguing back and forth, words and all that. But when it starts getting weird, and even like it's going south when starts money control. Controlling with the car, controlling with everything, every aspect of your life. They're trying to get you in a whatever cocoon, and this is all you can do. This is all you can do. No, it's very dangerous. I'm so sorry to hear that, Anne. Oh my God, I've known friends that were in bad relationships, abusive. But what I was talking about previous, her husband was a cop, and he used to beat her ass for lunch.
Yeah.
She would come to work. We used to work at a store, a little convenience store, and she'd come to work with like a black eye and everything. And then finally she left him. She got a boyfriend, and she left. She filed for a divorce and everything, but. I was like, oh my gosh, you need to get away from that guy. And in the community, he was respected, and then, that was terrible. That was horrible. And I've never had a lot of experience with that. My husband told me I would never, ever hit you. I said,
and you said, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, there's just, I don't know. But then again, sometimes verbal abuse is worse than physical abuse.
Oh yeah. And psychological. So. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because the verbal abuse gets in your head. And, you'd probably never be able to walk away with that. But I still think the physical abuse is kind of worse. So, I really do. I kind of think it's worse. What is this? I really do. I think, it's just all terrible. All this abuse stuff is terrible. That's why I think it's kind of better to be by yourself and then wish you were.
I mean, unless, if and when you do come across someone that you think is potential partner material, or even someone that you want to be vulnerable with and get close to, or get close to you. I mean, just know how to really find out who a person is, not just when times are really good, because, you know, it's when things start to go sideways is typically when you can really see the measure of a person. I think adversity of any kind, whether it's money, for a lot of people, it's going to be money.
Money, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And there's
a
also,
control factor.
yeah, I think there's also little like day-to-day things, little, if you really pay attention to someone, you can kind of pick up on people who are just sort of distrustful in general. And I think that if someone is distrustful by nature, then when they're in a relationship with someone, if they're distrustful, that makes them fearful, of course, that you're going to leave them at the drop of a hat, right? If someone's really insecure. And I think that's a lot of times what leads to those controlling behaviors, which can really escalate, especially if you push back against them, if you resist it. I mean, a lot of times someone, and I'm saying someone, most of the time, I don't think it's any secret. We all know most of the time it'll be the man who tries to initiate those sort of lockdown controls.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them that I've seen, and like you, Pam, I've never experienced this firsthand, but I certainly have a couple of friends who have, and I've done a lot of volunteer work in this arena. And also just studied a lot of cases. In fact, you know, years ago, when was this? This would have been like in the early 90s. I interviewed Betty Broderick for one of my websites. If you know, she's the one who killed her husband and his wife. And her case was one of the pioneer cases to create legislation for the so-called battered wife syndrome as a defense in court, right? Unfortunately, it wasn't successful for her, but Betty's case is very interesting because it was not physical abuse. It was just like this torment day in and day out. And then once he left her and married his young secretary, Linda was her name, she kind of joined in on that. You know, they would call Betty all kinds of names and call and leave messages for her. And
I think I remember this.
Yeah, they made there's a couple movies about it. There's a couple books about it. And last I had contact with her, Betty still does not have an ounce of remorse at all. At all. I mean, she really, and I mean, I believe her. They lived in San Diego. I lived there at the time that this all happened, and I remembered it when it happened. Of course, I didn't, you know, interview her until later, but I remember it was big news because her husband, when the abusive partner does have standing of any kind in the community, or like you're talking about the cop, your friend, an authority figure of any kind, it makes it so much harder because you feel trapped. Who's going to believe you, first of all? And if they do, they're not going to care. And that was the case with her too. Her husband was, he was a lawyer and a doctor. He went to law school and medical school and was president of the San Diego County Bar Association for a long time. And later, I think, if I recall correctly, also president of the National Bar Association. So, I mean, he was friends with every judge in San Diego County. She was not going to get a fair shot in court at all. It would be so different now if her case were to play out. Cases similar to that play out now have a very different outcome.
Well, look at Scott Peterson.
God, yeah.
I mean, that was in Schaumburg? I think it was Schaumburg or in Chicago area.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, Midwest somewhere. Yeah,
it was Chicago. He was married. Basically, I think he's in jail now, but still never did get the justice for these people, these women he killed, you know.
Yeah. It's sad. I mean, I see Ann talking there, and I hope that I think I might have missed a couple of your comments. I hope you were able to get some therapy, and for coming out of the abusive relationship you were in. Yeah, Linda, the Betty Broderick movies. Yeah, there's a couple of them.
It had to be hard to, I mean, if you get out of it, and then like, if you ever get another relationship, how do you trust again?
Yeah, it must be very, very hard.
You know, I mean, it's got to be terrible, you know, and especially when you have kids, you're so vulnerable then. I mean, people say, well, get a job.
It's not that simple. Yes, Louise, Betty did sort of involve her kids. She attempted with a couple of them, especially the younger ones. Sometimes she would have them call and leave voicemails for Dan. She did that a lot. This was back when people had message machines. People actually listened to voicemail. It wasn't even called voicemail. It was just message machine. But yeah, she did. And there's let me just say, for whatever it's worth, I mean, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not fond of Betty. I don't think she has a lot of empathy as a person. I'm just saying that strictly. It's my own personal opinions. Someone else might feel differently. And it's so easy, though, when you're outside of a situation to maybe perceive it, well, very, very differently than the person who's in it. But yeah, that was one of the things that I just I couldn't understand, Louise. I mean, I could totally I do understand her anger and rage. I mean, it wasn't just anger, it was rage at him. And when I looked and reviewed all of the court documents, his deposition, Linda Kolkina, some of the messages his wife that he married, who was his secretary before he married her, very common way affairs start, right? She was, I think, 20 or maybe even 25 years younger than Betty and Dan. But when I read some of the stuff that he put her through, just like with needless shenanigans in the court system, just because he could, because of his friends who were judges and stuff, he really did put her through it. And he just got a kick out of it. And he let her know that, he was getting a kick out of it. They set up this system whereby she would get fined, every time she called and left certain kinds of messages. And she didn't have the self-discipline not to do that. God bless her. She just couldn't not do it. He would just make her so mad. And he knew her. He knew how to needle her and get under her skin. And, well, I mean, the rest is history, as I say. It didn't end well for him and his new wife. But yeah, I just couldn't get with that part about involving her kids and trying to get them to get dragged into it, especially because the youngest one, he was really young at the time, if I recall.
Mm. And you're right, Anne. Lorena Bobbitt wasted no time. She took business in her own hands. But I don't condone that either. Hey, Chicago Nomad. Oh, isn't that I don't know if that's who I think it is. So, but but really, I mean, I don't condone that. But
Isn't there, did you see, Pam, it might be on Netflix, actually. It's either on Netflix or maybe Hulu. Speaking of Lorena Bobbitt, I will say this. I have a complete 180-degree different perception of her whole case when I watched this newer, I'm saying newer because I feel like maybe the last couple of years this came out, documentary with her and her ex, what's his name? John Wayne Bobbitt, is that his name?
Oh, yes.
He's interviewed too. There's a few scenes where he's interviewed too. I don't remember hearing that there was any sort of like proven or established abuse or anything like that when all that was going on.
Yeah.
They pretty much just made it like she kind of snapped and she was a quote unquote crazy, and all this stuff. But man, oh man, that is not the way it was. If you haven't seen that, you should see it. Let me look. I'm going to see if I can find where that is. Because I have a totally different view.
I saw that Chicago Nomad. I'm like, no, he wouldn't be in my channel. What would he come in here for? We're talking about other stuff. Oh my God. Yeah, I remember that case. I thought it was weird. I mean, as men as you are, you don't do that. I don't know.
Okay, it looks like it was it's Amazon Prime is where I saw it.
Oh, okay.
And it's a four-part docuseries. Okay, yeah, it's just called Lorena. I don't know if you have Amazon Prime, but
oh yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, then if you're interested, check that out. Or anybody else in the chat who might be interested in that. Yeah.
Check it out, Lorena.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I like
Chicago.
Huh. Yeah, that was a story,
Yeah. And I mean, of course, it's so easy to make jokes about it, right? But
I mean, who hasn't? You know what I mean?
I know. I mean, especially with the name Bobbitt. I mean, come on, it writes itself, right?
Let's think
But
about it. If that was a woman, though, would we make jokes about it?
no, you're right. You're absolutely right. No, of course we wouldn't.
Hey, Nadia, how are you? We would not laugh about that, but because it's a man and his
True.
his business.
That's right. It's true. It's true.
You know, I mean, and you know, just go on the other side. Men are abused. There are men who are.
Oh, absolutely, sure, yeah.
Who get their ass beat for lunch, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, they better not come home 3 minutes late. You better give me your check, and you better do this, and you better do that. You know, we've all seen that. You know,
yeah, of course, yeah.
And that's abuse too. You know, and it comes in all forms, but I do think women are far more, you know, abused. But I do think, you know, we can't forget that men get abused too, you know.
No, absolutely. No, very true.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I like, you know, you're talking about watching the court cases. You know, the first one, of course, that was televised from start to finish was the OJ trial, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I watched every minute of it, never missed a minute.
Oh,
I mean, but that was when I was working nights back then. My kids were really young, and my husband.
Mine too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I think
if it doesn't fit, we must have quit.
I know, right? Oh my God.
And you know, and you know, I think it was the first time. Now, my husband and I, we were married. We were, you know, still actively married and everything. And we all watched it. And my friends, my neighbors, we watched it together. And we all had our opinions, but nobody said nothing. You know, do you think he did it? Do you think he did it? And you know, I don't know, but I will say like this: karma has came for him.
It really has. I think it'll keep coming for him
in such a weird way. I mean, even I would say O.J. Simpson was stupid.
Hi, Mike Stevens. Hi, Nadia.
Hi, Mike Stevens. He was really not a smart man.
No, he's never been a brainiac. I mean,
no.
I don't think anybody's under that illusion.
I mean, I'm not going to say if I can. I mean, I don't know. But I will say, you know, it's almost like catch me, you know, because I mean, who goes into a casino, into a hotel in Las Vegas with a posse?
Right.
I mean, right. Oh man.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, dude? And he was such a good-looking guy
too. He was. I mean, but you know, I think we all know that doesn't tell you a thing about somebody's character. No. It really doesn't. Especially a lot of people, they don't have to even be celebrities like that. But you know, if people have been favored in life in any way, whether it's money, whether it's looks, whether it's coming from the right family, whatever it is, a lot of times, not all the time by any means. But a lot of times, I think they do develop this sense of impunity, like they can kind of just do whatever they like.
Well,
so sort of like rules don't apply to them, you know.
Well, look at what's his name, Bill Cosby.
Yeah, same thing.
Same damn thing. I mean, you have everything. You were the Jello man. You were everybody's father.
I know. Why would you even do that?
You know, what's wrong with you? Is your thing so busy? You take care of business.
I mean, come on. Linda says she thinks she's talking about OJ, right, Linda? He went nuts out of jealousy and killed her. You know, I will say, Pam, you said even though your friends and neighbors and stuff were talking about, they didn't really talk about it. I talked about it. Look, I'll tell you, my husband and I were pretty much the only interracial couple in a little small southern town at the time. It was, and I mean, and I could, you know, you have scrutiny anyway because of that. Of course, this was before it became so, it's pretty common now, especially in bigger cities. But But pretty much, I don't know if this is so much the case now after some time has passed, but at that time, I remember vividly, it was pretty much down racial lines. A lot of white folks, pretty much anybody I knew said, oh, of course he's guilty. A lot of black folks said, no, he's not guilty. Now, my close black friends said, the ones who, we could just talk, and really, really break it down, said, well, he probably is guilty, but okay, fine. So one time a black man gets away with something. Oh, well, and I give them credit for being honest with this is what they thought. And I understand that sentiment given the way that our justice system has worked historically. Not every single time, but come on. I think if thinking people are intellectually honest, they know that there's a lot of injustice that goes on along racial lines. These days, though, I think there's been so much analysis of that case and stuff. I find that it's not so clear cut along those lines anymore. I think a lot of people do say, okay, come on, of course he killed her. Although I have heard an interesting theory, and I don't know how I feel about this. I've always believed he killed her, I'll just say for the record. But I don't know how I feel about this theory that his son, have you ever heard this? That his older son, I think his name is Jason, the one who was like a chef or a chef in training or something like that, that he might have done it and or went with OJ and helped him.
My thing is like this. Okay, my husband thought he was innocent. Innocent as the day is long. Thinks Bill Cosby was innocent as the day is long. Yeah, I'm like, Bill Cosby, you all right? As he's, never mind. And I always, because we would argue, he and I would argue about this. I said, look, okay,
yeah.
How can an average person could not slit her throat the way he did?
Almost cut her head off.
Right.
Her spine.
And with that guy, the other guy, I can never remember what his name was.
Ron Goldman.
Yeah, Ron Goldman, right. And he wasn't a little guy either. He was not a little guy.
He was buff. I mean, he worked out and stuff.
Yeah. And kill both. And of course, I don't think the intention was to kill, Ron Goldman anyway. I think he was just there and, in
the way,
and he had to do it. And then again, you got to remember, what's that thing that they get, like when they play football, they hit their head, they get this thing in their head.
Right. The brain.
Right.
The concussive stuff out of the brain.
Right. The concussions and all that. You never know. I don't know. I think I always thought he did it. And I thought it was I thought there might not have been enough proof, because you got to have a lot of proof, it maybe not enough proof. And he got away, but he didn't get away with it. He really didn't get away with it, because financially he was shit. In the world of whatever. I mean, of course he walked free, and but he was never really free. Okay, But
I think he knows. I think he knows that a lot of people, even people who are just hangers on and want to be around him because he's a celebrity, I think he knows that a lot of even those people think he's guilty. But what is he going to do? He has to live with it now, right?
Right. It's just a lot of people who get off, and they probably did it. They did, but there's not enough proof, and there's a lot of things like that in probably your own real life, So somebody did something, but there's not enough proof.
It
doesn't make them not guilty. It just makes them lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Mike is saying he doesn't think he said, because it matters how he said this. He said he thinks Bill's innocent, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I know he's talking about Bill Cosby, but I'm just curious, does he mean he thinks he didn't do it, or he did it, but the women, whatever, that was the times? Because that's what some people say about Cosby, is that, look, be for real, everybody's grown-ups here. The women, although they weren't 35 or something. They were of age. They were of age of consent. And this was the 70s and into the 80s. Everybody did Quaaludes.
Right. The what's it? The casting couch. Everybody's
Right. Right. They knew he was a married man, blah, 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 all these things. So I'm just curious, Mike, if you care to say, when you say you think he's innocent, do you think he didn't drug these women, which sounds very harsh, but that is what it is. He put stuff in their drinks or whatever. So do you think he didn't do that at all? Or you think, okay, yeah, he did that, but come on. This is kind of what people did back then. That's how they quote unquote partied. I'm just curious. You don't have to say if you prefer not to say. I do think he did it, but I do think you got to really look at context, though. And when you're considering punishment for things like that,
Yeah.
The women knew why he invited them there. Yeah. Yeah. Some people don't want to allow for that kind of a statement, any kind of context or nuance at all, which I think is really unfortunate in these kinds of discussions, because just because you say they knew why he invited them there and they, whatever, that doesn't mean you're not blaming them per se. At least I hope you're not, Mike. I don't know that that's what you're doing. It's not what I'm doing when I have a similar thought at all. Because, ultimately, I think if someone is incapacitated, whether it's by drugs or alcohol or anything else, the fact is, and it is a fact, they cannot consent by definition.
Right. If
that's just what it comes down to.
That's rape. If a guy gets drugs and and okay, because you're high and you're okay, yeah, sure, and they're not in their right mind. And although, okay, I will say a lot of these women and a lot of men too, but in this case, women, they do sell their soul just to get
proximity. Yeah, proximity to celebrity, all that stuff. That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of a lot of things happen, and okay, okay, somebody will. You're young, okay. You're a young kid, and you're molested. Okay, you're molested as a child, okay, and it doesn't come up until you get 30 years old. Does that take away the fact that it happened? No. And that's just like you find these Boy Scout leaders, these Girl Scout leaders, or
priests, all of it,
ministers. It all comes back, and you could still get prosecuted because it happened. It still happened. Nothing just doesn't say, well, it didn't happen, because when you're young, sometimes you're scared. You don't know how to tell somebody, and sometimes it doesn't even come out until you go through therapy. And everything comes out. Everything comes out. You sleep with Bill to be a star.
Mike, you know where to find him.
Well, I know that. I'm just saying, but sometimes that's how things come out. A lot of times, maybe a lot of these stars, they forget about it. They put it in the back of their head. Yeah, I did this. It's like not your shining moment. You get this guy, Bill Cosby, and he's known for whatever he's known for, and you want to get ahead. And I know what you mean, but I'm just saying. And then, maybe you don't think about it, you don't talk about it. And then all of a sudden, you think about it. You should have done that. Well, sometimes things come back to hit you in the face. Bill Cosby had no reason to do that. What he was doing was taking advantage, of somebody. That's what he was doing. He was taking advantage of a situation where he had power, But I do agree with you. Yeah, I didn't mean it like, that was just like an example,
No, that's absolutely true though about things. And it doesn't even have to be in the case of children, even young adults, maybe even older than that. I can think of, and I'm sure most people here can too, if they really try, any number of reasons that a person who's been abused, molested, certainly raped, assaulted, in a significant way, might not necessarily come forward right away, possibly even for a number of years. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons that are valid. And I think that's why there's a push in so many jurisdictions to have the statute of limitations lifted altogether, because there is a statute for most of those kinds of crimes. I think in most jurisdictions, murder is the only crime that does not have a statute of limitations for prosecution. So, now, granted, of course, it's going to be so much harder to prove a case. Those kinds of cases are notoriously hard to prove anyway and get a conviction, right? But don't you think for victims, just having someone let them make a case, let them be heard finally, especially if it has taken them a long, long time to be able to say this, because, there's shame and all kinds of whatever might come into play, the reasons that they didn't come forth to begin with, right? So it's making me think of that woman, Blasey Ford, what was her first name, who came forward during the confirmation hearings for Brett Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court a couple years ago. And people were, she's just lying, and this is all politics, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't know about all that, but I will just say the scenario that she described, I think probably any woman in this room, that's familiar to them. If you haven't lived through it yourself, women who have. And you also know and understand the reasons why they don't necessarily say anything about it. Maybe ever, but possibly for years.
Right. Until whatever. Yeah. You're old enough. According to the NFL and Actors Union, OJ makes approximately $300,000 per month in prison. And I'm sorry, per month in
his pension, yeah.
I wish Honest Teachers made a teeny portion of that. He made $600,000 while he's in prison. Wow.
Yeah, but the civil case that the Goldman family brought against him, didn't they get a judgment in civil court for whereby, he can't, I think that a lot of that has been attached by the court, so he doesn't see a lot of that, I think. I'm not sure. I would have to look that up. But
okay, what would the necessary proof have to be to convict? I don't know. I mean, that Nadia says that. I don't know. I mean, you would have to have something more than just words.
Yeah, it depends on the accusation. What are they charged with? If you're charged with assault, if you're charged with rape, of course, depending on the timeline, there might be no hope in hell of having DNA evidence. But a lot of cases, especially with people who are grown, let's say our age or something, if they were abused when they were children, DNA was not even a thing.
Right. It wasn't even have somebody hear it and know about it and see almost, I would think,
I mean, yeah, Louise, absolutely. Yeah, so Louise says she worked for DFACS in the courts for a while. The courts are crazy. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it is true.
And Nadia says the problem I had with Ford was her friends didn't remember the time they spent with her when the incident happened. That is what can be scary for men. Ford was lying through her teeth, and that's what Mike said.
Yeah, well, as far as her friends not remembering, I mean, if they were all drinking too, I don't know. It doesn't surprise me necessarily that they wouldn't remember.
Right.
I know she's not that different in age from me. And I mean, I can think back to my high school years and like early, a few years after that. And there are some things that are very, very vivid in my mind. And in my case, a lot of us kept journals and diaries or whatever at the time.
Right.
Contemporaneous, right. So that's called contemporaneous notes. If you take the notes at the time of an event, those are admissible in court. And that is strong evidence in these kinds of accusations. But yeah, I don't know that that doesn't factor into my decision making personally. The fact that her friends might or might not remember. It's interesting, Mike. Why do you think she was lying? She might have been. I mean, I don't know, but I'm just curious. You're saying that so definitively, like maybe there's some reason or reasons that you think that. Okay, B, I see there about OJ, a judgment but no money. He argued he needed his retirement. Yeah, okay.
Linda said, my freshman religion teacher was finally convicted of taking advantage of some of the girls he taught. He would take them on weekend picnics with their family's approval. And that's
yeah.
You know what? That is so
it's more common than people would think, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you hear it all the time anymore. It's like, you hear it and you're like, first of all, if we go back, why do people leave their kids alone with people?
God, you're asking the wrong person. I never did.
I don't know. My God. I even think, okay, not change the subject. Michael Jackson. Why was Michael Jackson left alone with kids? Why?
Well, it's that same thing that you were talking about, Bill Cosby, proximity to celebrity. Same with Roman Polanski. Right. If anybody remembers that case, that girl was what, 12 or 13?
Yes.
Her mother drove her to his house and left her because he was this famous director, and I mean, it's terrifying to think of, but that's what it comes down to, unfortunately.
Oh man. This is like, Gerard, I'm sorry, but you can, okay, there's the exit sign. You can leave.
Yeah. Go out the same way you came in. Bye. Have a nice night, Gerard.
I mean, I'm not trying to like be judgmental, but when my kids, I had children. Okay. My kids, I didn't leave my kids with nobody.
Right.
I don't trust nobody. I don't trust nobody.
No.
When my kids played sports, volleyball, I was there because I have no touching, even a female. No, I need to know, But and like Michael Jackson, like I mean, all of that could have been prevented. All of that could have been prevented. Everything like with sports people or you don't think he was a pedophile? Oh, I think he was a pedophile. I love Michael Jackson or his talent. I don't know if he was but he was so weird, just so weird.
Yeah, I'll disagree with you too, Pam. Along with Mike, I don't think Michael was a pedophile either. Yes, very, very strange, very eccentric. Yes, I do think that he was immature and kind of stuck in that child mode because of being a child actor. But it's really interesting. Again, if you look at the court cases and the depositions of the parents involved, there's no question he was blackmailed. And in fact, the father of that one kid, the first one that got the big judgment against him, committed suicide not too long. I don't know, maybe within the last 5 years, I think. And the word that I heard from people that I know out in LA and knew these people were instrumental in the court cases, in the legal teams, said that, and this is just hearsay, so I want to make that clear. I'm not saying anything like it's a fact, but that the buzz was that it was out of guilt because his son knew that it was a lie. Imagine that. Imagine being that kid whose parent is so greedy that they will put you up to lie on someone who is your friend.
Macaulay Culkin could even tell you about his genitalia.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I think about but Macaulay also says, but nothing ever happened. Mike wasn't really like even a sexual person, much less he was almost like asexual. But if you think of like young kids, to me, that's just all the more indication of someone who is very immature, who would think, how like young kids, they think it's funny, like to flash each other or something. Yeah. Totally not sexual in the least. Somehow that's funny and giggly or whatever, I don't know. That's my hunch based on everything I've seen.
Well, okay, I have like mixed feelings because sometimes I think, yeah, he did it. Yeah, no, he didn't. Yeah, he did it. Yeah, no, he didn't. I guess I'm like this. Okay, maybe he didn't. But I think it was inappropriate.
Yeah, I agree.
Boys spend the night in a room with you. And he said he'd let the kids take the bed. Okay. And now this is something my husband grew up playing baseball with. I think it was Randy Jackson or Jermaine.
Randy's the youngest. Yeah.
Well, no, Jermaine.
Okay.
Jermaine. Okay. Yeah, they played on the same baseball team. Okay. And he knew Michael Jackson's father. He was strict as shit.
Yeah.
He was strict and he was mean, and you didn't mess around with him. And but now my husband never thought he did anything. I say inappropriate behaviors, maybe. I'm not saying did anything, but I do worry. Why do they know his genitalia? Why do they know those things? Nobody should know that. But my question comes is like when you start selling your kids, say, well, you pay me this amount of money, you pay me that amount of money, I won't go to court. You don't pay me this money. If you did something to my kid, there's no amount of money, we're going to court.
Exactly. And see, that's another reason that I think anytime you have a settlement with cases like that, now it might be a little bit different, although I'm kind of on the fence, even if it's an adult. Let's say an adult accused, like let's say one of these women accused Bill Cosby and he paid them off, which I think was in fact the case with one of them. But then she circles back around and comes back later. But when you have a child and the parents take a payoff, I'm like you. I mean, if I thought there was even a sliver of a chance that this happened, there's no way, no amount of money in the world.
I don't care how much money. That is evil money. That's evil money.
If it's not blood money, it's like, well, I mean, like I said, the kid's dad killed himself.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's greed. I mean, money and greed and yeah. And I think Ann said money makes people talk and makes them keep quiet. Yeah, that's
right.
true too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people though. I mean, there is like, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to hear that. Mike says, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be laughing, but his mom loved him, but would have sold him for $1,000. No,
she would.
You know what? I don't know you, Mike, but although I do know a Mike Stevens, I'm pretty sure you're not him. But no.
Oh my God, it's really scary. I mean, when you have like people in charge, you have like kids playing sports and they look up to the sports, the coaches, and then you have kids going to church. Got a story about that. A church down the street from me, First Baptist Church, they had a minister. He took a girl into, I think, Wisconsin, had sex with her.
Lord.
Yeah, she was like 15 years old, came back. This is like what it's like what
evangelical, yeah.
Yes. And the whole thing, and nobody wanted to believe it. And then he, look it up, his name is it was Jack Schaap, SCHAAP.
Did this just happen recently or just come out in the news recently?
About 10 years ago, 10 years ago.
I feel like I heard one recently too. Yeah.
And,
wow.
And he took her in First Baptist Church, and and people trust, and you can't trust anybody with that's your biggest treasure right there is your children. That's your biggest treasure. You don't just, I don't know. But a lot of people do. And they take chances, because, you think that that's who you're supposed to trust, but you're really supposed to use common sense, being a parent, or even with yourself. Something sounds weird, don't do it.
Right. That's right. Listen to your gut. Listen to common sense, like you're saying. Yeah.
Your gut tells you more, But people take chances. They want to be famous, like the women with Bill Cosby, or in any other instance, they want that fame, and they'll buy it at any cost. Their being, and it just doesn't make sense. I mean, I could talk about my hero, Elvis Presley.
Elvis? No.
Talk about my hero.
Say it isn't
I'll
so.
go there. I'll go there. Look at him. He was with Priscilla. She was 14 when he met her.
Right.
Right. I'm not looking over. I know the truth. I can see it, but back then it was okay because, they didn't say too much. But then, although his entourage said, hey, you shouldn't be with that girl. Oh, we're just, yeah.
But didn't he, I'm sure you know a lot more about it, Pam, but didn't he say, okay, we'll wait to, quote, I'm going to use the word date, to be intimate or anything until she was of age?
Yes.
But is that only what he said? But the real deal is, okay, but they didn't really wait. Is that what it is?
Okay. It goes like this. Okay. She moved to Graceland when she was like 15 or 16. I might be wrong on the age. Okay. And said she was going to live in the house. She was going to live in the house, and instead with her father, and I guess at the time he had a new wife. Okay. And instead she really lived in Graceland. Okay, but they didn't, supposedly, even her story was they never had sexual intercourse because he wanted her to be virginal, because he thought she was like, when a woman he's going to marry, he wanted to have a virgin.
Right.
Virgin. And so they did everything else, but never had the act. Okay. So, double standard. Yeah. I think, I look at it and I think, okay, now the parents letting her go there.
Right. Yeah.
My daughter, hell no. I love Elvis, but I wouldn't let my daughter go there with Elvis. I'll go there for it.
You'll say, all right, I'll be the sacrifice. Take me instead.
Yeah. And so, it was abuse there too.
But you know what? That means, Pam, that you are an intellectually honest person. That's one of the traits that I don't know, some people might not refer it to that way, but that when I see that in a person, I'm like, all right, this person is for real. A lot of people, even if they're, honest as far as it goes, they won't do that about whether it's a favorite celebrity or it's a pet cause. They just, they won't even consider the other point of view, or if they do, they get all, crazy about it or something. But if someone who can just say, you know what, no, I can look at this from both sides and I can consider, that they might have a point. Mm-hmm. That's intellectual honesty. It's so uncommon, and boy, it's refreshing. It really is refreshing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now they want to talk about John Benet Ramsey. Okay. I think my own opinion, okay, on this. There was a lot of game playing with that girl. There's a lot of game playing with that girl. Okay. And I don't mean this, I know people who do pageants. I know somebody who did pageants, okay? And to have a girl who's 6, dress up like a grown woman, okay, to me it's just weird. Okay. And I thought it was that's what I thought about this lady. I used to work with her. Okay. They used to do these little things. Okay. And I said, what are you doing? The kid's got to be a kid, But I don't know. They were so rich, and on Christmas Day and Christmas night, I don't really believe anybody broke into the house. I don't believe that. I believe something happened, something sick happened in that house, and it turned real dirty really fast. And she might say, "I'm going to tell," and I think they did something to her because they were about to be outed. I think so.
Yeah. I saw Louise say, she said, Louise, did you say the stepbrother? Do you mean John Ramsey's older son? I think that lived in Atlanta at the time, if that's who you're talking about.
There
Say
was
if that you meant, Louise.
little brother there too.
Yeah, well, yes. What's his name? Something with a B, I think.
I don't even know.
Yeah, that's another case that I'm really interested in. These cases, by the way, let me say for my part, they interest me because you get these glimpses of anomalous human behavior that you don't encounter every day. But at the same time, and this JonBenet Ramsey case is a good example of this.
Hey, Kiki, how are you?
You see, hi, Kiki. No, I see. Yeah, we want to say hi to Kiki and everybody else. There's probably some people that I missed. You might have missed too while we were running our mouths, Pam. But, you have these families or you have individuals who they appear one way on the outside. Mm-hmm. And you just never really know. And
there's
certainly
a lot of freaks on the inside. I'm telling you, there's a lot of freaks on the inside.
Burke, yeah, that's right, Mike. Burke.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mike. I do not think the parents are innocent at all. And I'll tell you, for me, what the clincher is that note. That ransom note. If you've seen like the detailed, and I'm not talking about just like people, armchair sleuths, kind of like we're doing right now. We're just giving our opinion, right? None of us are experts. But when you see the real analysis of that note, the language, not just the handwriting, because Patsy, all of them gave handwriting samples, but Patsy's in particular, but the actual language, there's a word that is used repeatedly in that note, hints. The phrasing and the syntax, the way that word, like, a person, it's not common. In common parlance, people don't speak that way.
Right.
Definitely somebody of a quote unquote, what was it, small foreign faction or whatever this note claimed, right? No, they don't speak that way. But they were the analysis that I saw from some of the actual experts who analyzed a lot of these materials and evidence from the case said they were able to find some Christmas cards and a couple of other handwritten things from Patsy. Patsy would send out these Christmas, a lot of people do this every year at Christmas, would send out these family letters, to all of their friends and their Christmas cards. Oh, here's what we've all been up to this year. And they had examples of several years where she would use the same phrasing. Burke is doing this and that, and hence we're going to our house in, Michigan or, whatever. The same turn of phrase. It's very uncommon in usual parlance for the average person. So for it to turn up multiple times in this note, and for the handwriting to some of the formations of the letters, which are also uncommon, to be very similar to Patsy's samples, to me, that and a few other things just made me think, yeah, okay, they're involved in some way. I agree with you about the pageant stuff, Pam. When my daughter was little, people constantly, including my mother-in-law, God bless her, I have the best mother-in-law, but they all constantly would pester me, oh, you should get her in, why don't you get her in pageants? No. Kids should be kids, like you said. And to me, it's just something a little, it's not my sensibility. I'll just leave it at that, whatever.
I understand why on Christmas Day, Christmas night, it's like, how
I know, yeah.
How weird that was. They went and they came back and a little while later, and what she had some pineapple or something.
Yes, yeah.
And then they say, well, she turned up missing, and oh my God, it just so weird, so weird. But I just had to think that, in my estimation, the mother had more to do with that. I just had a feeling she had more to do with that. Maybe more than the father. Maybe she killed her. I don't know. But I think they both did, though. I think they both,
Yeah, I think they both were in on it, but I have to say, my gut was kind of in that direction too, Pam, that Patsy maybe was more in on it. But
Yeah.
now the theory that I have heard that seems to make some sense to me is not so much that they, just killed her outright, the parents, but that the brother, Burke, the little brother, or not her little brother, but the young son, not the older son, was mad at her because might have been mad, but they pieced all this together based on the fact that she did have just a little bit of pineapple in her stomach, not like a whole serving, but maybe like a bite or two, right? That it was not digested.
Mhm.
And there was a bowl of pineapple sitting there on the table. And there was also that big mag flashlight. If you've ever seen pictures, crime scene pictures and stuff, a big flashlight sitting there on the counter too, near that, not too far from the bowl. So one of the theories goes that Patsy said she gave the pineapple to Burke and that he was eating the pineapple. Here comes JonBenet kind of being, the cheeky little sister, grabs a piece of the whatever, takes some of his pineapple, and he cracked her on the head with that mag light, which accounts for the skull fracture. And then probably knocked her unconscious, might have even killed her in the moment right then. But at minimum, the theory goes, knocked her unconscious. The parents, Patsy sees this. John wasn't present, I don't think, at the time, or at least wasn't downstairs. And of course, then they panic because what are they going to tell the police? That are they going to get their own son? Is he going to be in trouble? Of course, he's a minor, but still, it's disgrace.
Right.
They're this big, rich family with, again, standing in the community. And so the theory goes again that a decision was made between Patsy and John to stage this kidnapping scene so that it would look like someone else did this. And meanwhile, they send Burke back to bed and just like, don't you ever tell anybody, whatever. And so that's the theory that I've heard that makes some sense. Now, because of the autopsy, she had some damage, to her genitalia that they said seems like it could be scarring from past abuse and so on. So, I mean, just like you're saying, sometimes with those pageants, we've all seen the stories that come out sometimes about really dark stuff that goes on there. Again, maybe not in all cases, but maybe some of that was going on.
Something like that. She had like a garroter around her.
Yeah. It choked with a thing that, and the thing that was used to tighten it was a broken paintbrush from Patsy's art supplies. And tangled up within that garrote was strands of JonBenet's hair, but also I think of Patsy's hair. And the defense was, well, of course it's Patsy's paintbrush. Of course there's going to be some of Patsy's hair in it. But I mean, I don't know.
I mean, Patsy died of cancer.
Right. Yeah.
About 5-6 years ago. And that alone could be like, I don't know. And then the father's now really old.
And he's remarried though. He's been remarried for a while. He's written a couple of books since then.
Nobody will ever admit, I don't know. I wish they would find out, but that poor girl died, a senseless death, She really did. She died a senseless death. And nobody found out anything, really. It was like, well, they made such a mess, because it was like this, influential town people, and, the police came walking in there, and, they didn't even really do anything because they weren't experienced in this. The police were not experienced at all,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we speak about Jodi Arias? We mentioned her. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
We can.
Yeah. What do you think about her, Nadia?
I don't really remember much about her, but I'll remember if we start talking.
I do. I remember a lot about that. She's one of the ones who I've seen quite a bit of the testimony too. Because like you, that's what I like to see. Because, people are under oath. It's not hearsay.
Right.
It's not gossip. Now, they could be lying. People lie under oath all the time. But, well, I mean, not all the time, but it happens. We'll just say it happens.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I know tomorrow I'll be watching this trial. I know I will be. I mean, it's like my new focus on,
Stay on it. You can update us.
It's real. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
Who would think you're that old and you're going to end up on trial for killing somebody? I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow. I drove to Travis' house and sat for a few moments and pondered what happened to him. Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's sad.
Wow. You think about it, murder. God, it's such a final thing. I mean, oh, God. I can't imagine being that angry at anybody. And I've been angry, but I've never been that angry. I've never been. The only way I would ever even consider it is if somebody hurt my child.
Right. Yeah.
My children are grown. I don't care if you hurt my kids. I'm coming for you.
They're still your babies. I feel exactly the same way. I feel people know me that I don't care. Don't mess with my children.
Yeah.
Do not come for my children.
Yeah, that's how that or my dog. Now my dog.
Of course, little Ginger. No.
Come for you. I'll come for you.
Someone tries to mess with Ginger, you let us know, and the Paw Patrol will show up and take them down.
Oh my God.
We will come save Ginger.
Oh my God, yeah. But I don't get it. I've never felt that, you never get away with it. I mean, maybe you might get away with legally, but mentally it's got to be in your head. You did this, you killed somebody, and there's like so many stories that, I know this girl and this little boy, they went missing from the house. Okay. And in Gary, and they never found these two kids. And I think I've talked about it on my channel before. I can't remember their names, and the girl had, what does she have? Is that one disease where they eat a lot? And she was kind of like mentally, very challenged. She had, what is that? Where they eat and they can't control their eating. I can't think of what it is. She had that, and the little boy was like 2 or less than 2.
Oh gosh.
And went missing and never heard a word from him. And the girl was like, she's real heavy, real short, and never found him. And I even went out and looked. I can't remember their name for nothing in the world. I think, was it Diamond? Maybe. I might be wrong though. But yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Wow, I think it's interesting, the Travis story, because he has 7 siblings. I have 8 siblings. We both grew up poor, and all the siblings are very close. The Travis, what story is that?
Travis Alexander, the Jodi Arias thing. Now, Nadia, wasn't Travis Mormon, and didn't Jodi supposedly convert to to make herself more appealing to him? Am I remembering that part of it right? Yeah, it's really sad. That was really a brutal thing. I think that's somebody who just really is a straight up psychopath or something, unless she blacked out or something. But I don't know how you black out and are able to inflict that much brutality on a person, to even have the mental wherewithal to be able to do that if you're blacked out. I don't know. 7 siblings. Wow. Nadia and Louise, lots of siblings.
Wow.
I have 4 children.
Wow.
I didn't think that was a lot. One of my coworkers years ago said, "Oh, yeah, that's a lot of kids." Oh, is it? Okay.
Man, it's not a lot. It's not. Now when people have 10 kids, that's a lot.
That's a lot. That is a lot. Hi, good night, Ann.
Good night.
Nice chatting with you. Hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, it's I kind of remember it, and I would have to read about that because I don't know why the Jodi Arias thing. I remember hearing about it, sort of knowing about it, but not too much. I didn't keep up with it that much, and I should have. I really should have. I probably because it was a woman. I don't know. Somebody's gonna say that. Louise, pure jealousy. What's jealousy?
Yeah, she said, why did Jodi kill Travis
Oh,
Alexander?
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she thought he was with another girl, right? Yeah, and that's a case of someone, Pam, earlier when you said, these people just, they're not thinking or they're not smart or something when they do these things because they'll ultimately get caught. Yeah, she shot him and stabbed him repeatedly and took pictures of the whole thing, took pictures of him, dying in the shower and whatever, all of which was,
I remember seeing those pictures. I remember
yeah.
that.
Yeah. And then didn't she, Nadia, it seems like you know a lot about this case. Didn't she try to hide the camera in the washing machine or something? But at his place though, in the washing machine, which I don't know, maybe she panicked or something. And of course they found it. The police found it. The detectives found it. And,
oh my God. It has to be like one of those where you snap, but
yeah,
it's a whole issue. You're not gonna leave me, and yeah,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Or right, Linda, like real life, that scene in Fatal Attraction. I'm not going to be ignored.
Right.
That's such an iconic scene. She's
Yeah.
just so angry. How dare you think you're going to ignore me? No.
You said you love me. You said this. You said, and you promised, and I believed you. And look, I gave you everything, and bam.
Right. Yeah. Right. Tale as old as time, as the song goes. Yeah. I mean, it's such a common thing, but I mean, it's human nature. That's the fascination for me, is just human, and why some people can be in pretty much the same situation and not snap like that. That's the part that's so interesting to me. The differences in people.
Yeah, I think that just comes back to like your mental condition anyway.
Yeah.
You were crazy when you were with that person, but see, again, when you first meet somebody, that crazy's cute, and then when it's at the end, that crazy's crazy.
Right.
Crazy,
that's right.
Crazy, like for instance, okay, I'll just tell you this, okay. It's cute when you're with somebody and they want you to pick them up and you're driving around. Oh, they just want to be with me. All of a sudden, it's not cute when they're tracking you and and they're tracking you, and all of a sudden they know every little instance of you. It's not cute no more. You know what I mean? It's only cute.
No.
It's only cute in the beginning. It's not cute later on. Mm-mm.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And see, that's the thing. That's me included. I am not good with I take everybody and I look at them like, okay, oh wow, look at this, look at that. Oh wow, I'm a victim waiting to happen. Because
no, you're not. Don't even say that.
I kid you not. Like, okay, I'll tell you a story. Okay, a long time ago, I was at the store and I seen this man. He was a man, or I don't know. I never knew if it was a man or a woman. It doesn't really matter. Well, but kind of it does. Okay. And I seen it. I think I told the story. The guy was on a bike and it was hot and he had a dog. Okay. That's a typical thing to get somebody to feel sorry for you. So I said, oh, your dog and it's so hot. Get in my car. Get in my car. And so the guy got in my car. Put your bike in the back. I had like an SUV.
Oh no.
Put your bike in. Okay. And so the dude got in the car. He had his little dog, little toothless Chihuahua, and I'm like, oh, I reach back there. I had Ginger's treats. Here, take this. It's okay. I got more, and give it to and then we're driving down the street, driving down Sibley. You remember this? Turn through this alley. I'm thinking, and I'm praying. And I'm looking over. I can't figure out, is this a guy? Is this a girl? I don't know. Because, I don't know. I mean,
ambiguous. Got it. Yeah.
I was not sure. And then I was like, we got to this house, and behind the house, we were in the alley. And I'm like, oh, you live here? And he said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. And he said, I have to take my dog everywhere with me. And I'm like, really? And he said, because my dog barks like that. I said, oh, okay. And he worked at a church. So finally he got out of the car. I was like, thank God. But see, that's what makes me a victim. I see everybody as like,
I see what you mean.
Goodness. I don't see the weirdness. But see, and then after that, I see that guy a couple times, or with the little dog, and like, oh, I ain't picking you up no more. But
yeah, I tend to do that too. But again though, I think it's your first impulse, because you have a lot of empathy, to want to help someone, or you know what I mean? Yeah, I find myself doing that a lot too. And I really want to believe the best in people, and that most people are not scammers, and they're not going to kill you, they're not going to harm you. But I do temper that with common sense. Like you said, I would be very, very careful about who, if anybody, I let in my car if they were a stranger. But I'll tell you a similar story I had years ago. This was when I lived in San Diego. Not too long, actually, before the Broderick case. My two older sons I have 3 sons. My 2 older sons were little. My 2 younger kids weren't born yet. I was probably, I don't know, maybe 23 or something. So I was really young. So I had the 2 boys with me. We're out shopping, grocery shopping. Come out to get in the car, and there's this man and woman, young couple. They're like in their 20s. Looking kind of not super shabby or anything, but like tired and sort of dusty and like, whatever, sweaty. It was a little warm for a San Diego day. It's usually quite mild and nice, but they were like, hey, which direction are you going? I said, oh, I'm going out to El Cajon, which is out toward the desert. Oh, okay. Could you just please give us a ride? We can pay you for gas, and we're not going too far from here, but we're going in that direction. Could you give us a ride? Of course, like you, Pam. I'm like, well, sure. I said, well, I have my 2 boys with me, but I think I got room in the car. I was driving a little hatchback at the time. So I say, boys, get in the back. My 2 little kids, they get in the back. They were like, I don't know, 3 and 4 or something, little kids. So this man and woman, as they're getting in the car, just something, I don't know, something was like, is telling me, I don't know if this is such a good idea. So the woman got in first. She was going to sit in the middle between us. And then he started, just as he was starting to get in, I said, I lied. I said, you know what? I just remembered I have to go to my mother-in-law's. I'm not going in that direction after all. I'm going to La Mesa, whatever. And they're like, oh, well, we can just ride with you, and we don't mind. We'll pay the guy. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I don't think it's going to be a good day for that. So they get out. Okay, fine. Do you know, I swear to God, 2 days later, they were picked up they had been on a crime spree, a violent crime spree, and they eventually got caught because they killed a man at a gas station a couple days later out near the desert. I just, a chill went through me like you don't even know when I saw that. I couldn't believe it. I still can hardly believe it. But yeah, I had my 2 little kids with me. And when I think of that day, now I don't know. Heck, maybe they would have given me $20 for gas and got out, went their merry way when I took them somewhere. I think probably not. I think more likely they would have
probably not
done whatever they wanted with me and the kids and taken my car, and that would have been it. But oh my God, scary.
It's that moment, like, I see older people, walking, and I'm like, maybe I could help. And now, see, I'll be honest, now I won't do that, because it was one of my more moments where I was, that'll get me, is a dog. The dog did it. And it was a little dog too, so because Ginger's little and everything. But
Hi, Kate Rose. There's Kate Rose.
yeah, hey K.E. Rose, how are you? But I mean, you do things and you don't think about it, but see, that's why we're called victims.
Well, but you know what though? We lived and learned. We lived through it, didn't we? And we changed our behavior accordingly. I think Louise, that's right. Either I don't know about a taser because a lot of people don't know for it to really be effective and you not hurt yourself. There is an actual correct way to use a taser, but mace, absolutely. Absolutely. When my daughter first went away to college, and my daughter's a runner, she runs all the time. She's been a runner since she was her first years in high school. I got her mace. And of course, what do they say? What are the daughter? They all think there's, Mom, I don't need that. Good grief. Don't you think? I said, please set my mind at ease. Take this with you. And by the way, my sons too. Someone earlier said something about, Nadia, it might have been you saying something about having sons. And therefore, when you hear accusations that might potentially be false against boys, of course, it's scary. I absolutely agree. I have 3 sons, which is one of the reasons why, whether I believe or don't believe any kind of accusations or whatever the case may be, it is very easy for me to stop and say, wait a minute, let me think about if this was my son and try to look at this evidence and see how I would weigh it out. Would it meet some sort of proof,
Right.
Because people do lie. Absolutely, people do lie, and men and boys can be victims as well.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, you get accused of anything. Girls can accuse you of doing something if you don't treat them nice, or you didn't, maybe return their affections, or you just look at them wrong, or they're just having a bad day. Girls do that too. They do, and or of course mistaken identity is a good one. And of course the ever popular change their mind.
Yes, yeah.
Popular, yeah. Bye, Linda. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. Good night, Linda. Love your name.
It's I don't know. There's so many chances for good to turn into bad, and with the wrong person, and you know what I mean. Things turn and go south really quick. And I mean, even in some of these cases, where maybe they weren't gonna be like that, but just like this change of mind, or just whatever happened, just everything changed. Just like the one where he killed his wife, and his pregnant wife, and well, of course he had a girlfriend, but who knows why? Just the wrong word was said, something was said wrong, and they flip in the control. I mean, it's just like, the one where I'm talking about, I can't think of his name, and we just said it.
That Watts, the Chris Watts case,
Chris
with
Watts,
where he put the 2 little girls in the, yeah.
Right. I mean, it could have been something more like, well, I'll take the kids. And then he flipped and, well, you ain't taking nobody. I'll kill y'all. And nobody. And then all of a sudden that anger, that intense anger go to, oh, well, it could be just like that, just a snap. You snap it, and maybe he didn't even plan it. He probably didn't even plan to kill her, but it just happened. It wasn't all planned out. Really, it wasn't. And I don't know. It was wicked. It was wicked. It was horrible. I mean, you kill everybody. And it gets me when people snap. They don't snap and kill themselves. They kill other people, and they save themselves. If you're gonna snap and kill yourself.
But you know what's interesting though, in looking at a lot of these cases, and if you look at like the numbers and statistics and the studies and all that boring stuff, but the trend is that with men, a lot of the times when these family annihilators, as they call them, like you're talking about, much of the time they do not kill themselves. Now, sometimes they do. You know, there's no shortage of those kind of cases too. But a lot of the times it's like this guy, Chris Watts. He just kills the pregnant wife and the 2 kids, right? But with women, it's much more common for them to, if they're going to like get revenge, if they're angry at their husband or something, they will also they'll kill the kids, but also themselves much more often. Sometimes they don't, but often they do. And those, again, I mean, those, I don't know, this might be a little bit sexist to say, but to me, those cases are, maybe it's because I'm a mom, I don't know, but are even harder for me to understand somehow. There was a case with this woman, I feel like this was only a couple of years ago, where she did just that. She, let's see, what was the case? I'm trying to remember. I don't even think there was an affair in that case. The husband wasn't having an affair or anything, but I do think that he was leaving this woman because he just thought, you know, she was one of these women who was sort of like emotionally abusive to him and verbally abusive and to the kids and stuff. They had 2 teenage daughters. And long story short, I think she called him to come over to the house. They were all in the house, and she started threatening that she was going to kill the 2 girls and just like gloating, you know, and then we'll just see how you like that. Because she knew, you know, they were both sort of daddy's girls, and he really doted and loved these girls a lot. Well, of course, he's trying to talk her out of it. One of the girls, God bless her, poor girl, calls 911. It just will absolutely break your heart and tear you up if you hear this 911 call. You can hear the girl saying, "Mom, no, no, no." Well, long story short, she chases them out to the street. She shoots both of these girls down in the street, kills them. And of course, this poor man is no, and she kills herself too, but not before she's like, see what you did, see what you made me do, whatever. So just saying that to say, of course, you know, women are capable of this sort of thing too, this snapping or whatever it is, some sort of mental break. I don't know, but yeah, a lot of times they do tend to also kill themselves too. I've always heard that the psychology of stuff like that is that men tend to act out their anger or rage outwardly, and women a lot of times internalize it. So it'll either be depression, or they'll, you know, have various addictions or dysfunctional relationships, but it's much less common for women to act out violently.
I can agree with that, you know, because you see when a woman has issues, like you said, mostly, you know, they'll become an addict of some sort, you know, or whatever. But there is one case, I'll tell you, it's happened a long time ago. His name is Gregory Green, and he was in Detroit, Michigan. He was married before, or he was married. And in 1991, he stabbed his 6-month pregnant wife. He went to prison for 16 years. And there was a minister that would come there and spend time and talking, you know, talk to him, and, you know, really, and even became his champion and said, you know, why not let him out, let him parole, let him come out, let him get parole. So they paroled him. They let him out.
Oh God, no.
And then, so he met this minister's daughter named Faith. They got married, and they had 2 children. Okay. And one was 5 and the other was just turned 4. Okay. And she had 2 kids of her own previous. Okay. And she, you know, he was beginning to try to find a job. He was trying to find a job, you know, because when you're a felon, it's not easy to find a job at all.
Right, yeah.
And I guess things weren't going so well, and she was going to file for divorce. He took the kids downstairs in the basement. First he took his 2 children. He bought like a coil, like a pipe sort of thing, like you might have on a like a dryer or something, and hooked it to the back of the car.
Oh no.
The car, killed his 2 kids. When he took downstairs, hit her kids, shot them right in front of her.
Oh
Didn't
my
kill her.
God.
You know what he did? He shot her in the feet. He went to prison. He went to prison. I watched that trial too.
Oh Lord.
And he just like he admitted, yeah, he did it. He did it. He did it. You know, no. I mean, he he deserved the death penalty. He absolutely deserves the death penalty. That's why I'm so for the death penalty. There are some people in this world who should never breathe another breath, you know. And I don't care if it costs more to kill them than to keep them in prison. And I don't care if they have to, you know, people say, well, they got to live, they got to live with, you know, what they did, and that's worse. No, to some people, they don't have a conscience. They still will say she deserved it.
Yeah, and a case like that where he's purposely did not kill her. I mean, to me, obviously, he wanted her to suffer the rest of her life over the loss of her children. Not just the loss, but it sounds like she actually was forced to witness
Yes, she had
their
to watch.
killing.
Right, she had to watch. And you know what? Listen to this. He called the police on himself, and he was sitting there waiting for them to come. The same thing he did with the first one. He called the police on himself.
Yeah. See, that's a sociopath too. That is, I mean, there are people.
His name is Gregory Green, if you're one.
Gregory Green. Yeah. Well, K.E. Rose is talking about that Chad and Lori Daybell case. Yes, K.E. Rose. I know, I'm familiar with that case, and you're right. Lori Daybell, she acts like it doesn't even faze her. So she's another one, like it sounds like this man, this Gregory Green, who I don't know. It's like there's a missing chip in the brain, and you know, I'm not even joking. There can be actual different chemical, you know, things going on in somebody's brain when they not just lack empathy, but they just start capable of that sort of brutality and inhumanity against another human being. There's no way that that's right. You know what I mean, mentally and
I
so
wouldn't want to put them in prison. Okay, with some people are in prison, they're there just for drugs or for something else. People like that could kill somebody in prison, you know, just for no reason at all.
And they do. I mean,
you know, why? And that's why. People like that deserve the death penalty. You know, they deserve it. I mean, a lot of people don't go for the death penalty. I go for the death penalty.
I totally understand the sentiment, especially if I consider if it were one of my loved ones, how would I feel? But yes, I am one of those. I am opposed to the death penalty, but what I'm not opposed to is, and this, I mean, I think in some ways, I'll just be honest, I think it's more cruel than the death penalty. I mean, after all, death penalty, they kill you and you're gone. But I mean, you know, you're not suffering anymore physically or mentally. But even I think a lot of these people do not have a conscience, and there's no concept of, well, they have to live with what they've done. No, they don't. If they had that kind of compassion or empathy or anything, they wouldn't have been capable of it. So no, what I favor rather instead for people like that, and these are the exception, by the way. The prisons are not filled with people like that. I think we all know that. But the prisons are filled to bursting with nonviolent, petty drug users. Users, not even dealers, but users. That's the truth. But for people like that, I favor solitary confinement the rest of their life, which means not in a cell, in a cement box, no daylight, for 23 hours a day. You come out, if even an hour a day, you come out to shower. A lot of prisons, they don't even allow that. There's one of those drains, you know, in the center. They hose you down, literally, and that's it. You never see another person because they have those, you know, those steel doors that just have the little slot. Yeah. That will drive you crazy. That sensory deprivation over time, it does completely destroy the human mind, and that's cruel. I concede that that's cruel, but I don't know. I mean,
you're going to have these people who are, you know, the super, give him a chance, let him learn something. No. No, that's a super, not, no offense, but the liberal, like, well, we can rehabilitate you. I want those people put back in my community, or because or like it's just it drives me nuts because I live in communities. I live in a community where there are all kind of people in my area. Seriously, there are criminals, there are pedophiles, there are rapists, with sex, because you can look that stuff up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's public information. Yeah.
And people have been released from prison for God who knows what. And but when somebody like this Gregory Green, there's no reason for him to be alive. There's no reason. Just like that guy, that the one who, I can't think of his name. For some reason I can't think of that guy's name. The one who killed his children.
Right, Chris Watts. Yeah.
Why? There's no reason on this earth for him to be alive. There's no redeeming reason. There's no reason. I mean, there is absolutely no good God reason. But he's alive. He could see his mother and father. If even if you're in death row, I think you still can see your family. You can get phone calls on occasion. You can get letters. The dead people can't get nothing. They can't get nothing. It's done over, And I think the only I hate to say, like, fairness is to know, well, he's dead too, and not that maybe one day, like they'll do the trial, because you know how they always do. They always get appeals. They always get this. They always get that. They always get that shit. And then all of a sudden, maybe there's going to be a president who say, "Oh, we'll let them off." Okay, then they're out, or or they get another trial, and then it's whatever. It wasn't a fair trial, but it was fair, and it because the person even kind of admitted it. And I just think that my husband, he's totally against the death penalty, totally against it. I said, yeah, until something happens close to you. And I'm just really for it. I really am. I just think there's certain people in this world who should no longer walk the earth, and even in a prison. I don't care if it costs triple amount to get them put, to death. There are certain things that you do that there should be no way you should ever be able to. I mean, I think you should get the trial and all that. I do believe that you should get the trial, you should get the appeals, and you should get all that. But and now I think, since we have so much DNA and everything like that, and I know that sometimes things aren't fair, but when it is so out and out, that they did it, then why not? Why not?
Well, I do understand your thinking. I really do. I appreciate the way you're thinking about it there. But the way you express it, I'll tell you for my part, if you want to hear
Sure.
my thinking on it. I don't think of it from the standpoint of what that person deserves, because I mean, if you ask me, I'll tell you, I agree with you. They don't deserve to live at all. They don't deserve to walk the earth. But what I think about is not them.
Mm-hmm.
I think about me, or we, the state, the people, because that's when you're put to death, that's the state, that's the way that the document reads. It's the people. It's on behalf of the people. And to me, it's like, and this is just me, but for me, I just refuse to, in essence, put myself in a place that I consider, I won't say no better, because it's a very different thing. It's a very different thing, completely different thing to say someone who willfully brutalizes someone and kills them. And as you said, we're talking about cases where there's no room for doubt. We're not talking about these cases because some people are innocent. They are. It does happen. But no, we're talking about these airtight cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. To me, even though I agree, no, this person doesn't have the right to draw air. But to me, it's not about that person. It's about what it makes us to sit in judgment of someone else. Even though it's fine to have the judgment. I got the judgment all day long. You just heard me. I think these people are the scum of the earth. To the extent, and I recognize this about myself, maybe this makes me horrible in some way, because I'm telling you, this is honestly how I feel about it. I recognize the cruelty of putting someone in a cement box for the rest of their life. That is cruel. There's no two ways about it. Right. So I'm not talking about death row. I'm talking about solitary confinement, which is completely different. I mean, I've been to death row. I've seen the difference, of the different conditions and what it does to the human psyche. Right. But that is what I think. That to me is preferable, because.
But they won't do that. They won't do that.
There are some number of murderers who have been in solitary confinement for years and years. I think, Manson was a good case example of that for years and years. Of course, we already know he was already far gone mentally, whatever, right? And I don't think he should have. I'll say this much. I definitely do not think they should ever have a voice, a presence in the public domain ever. That means no media. That means no mention of the name. Nothing. It's like you're erased. You're disappeared, but not to to me, for my sensibilities, not to the point of me, or by proxy me, right? The state actually physically taking your life. I just don't think I have that right. I don't think the state has that right. And it's a scary proposition to me to think of giving over that final and authority to the state. And it could be capital punishment. It could be any number of other things. But you can see in certain other kinds of governments where if you condition people to accept certain kinds of brutality against its own people, if you can justify it, and it's very easy to justify this. We're talking about monsters. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's just it makes me uncomfortable to think of justifying that. But no, I don't have any sympathy at all for people like that. Zero.
I think like in my state, Indiana, we have death penalty. Okay. And it's done in Michigan City. Okay. And then you have places like Texas. Okay. And now it's done in Huntsville. And now I'll say this, and I will agree with this, and but my thing, I do, I don't understand. Like, I've never lost anybody due to a crime. Okay, never lost anybody due to a crime, or anything like that. But it's easy to be on this side, I just, how angry I would be. And, when these people come into court and they've done something, and, and they're smug, and they have this, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's like, how dare you come in there and have such a attitude? You've done something so horrific. You've changed somebody's life. You've not only one person's life,
destroyed it. Yeah,
you've changed a whole lot of people's lives.
Yeah,
and then you come in there, and then the family. You still have that support of your family. I don't know. I just get so angry. I get so angry when I think about it. And you're right. You're right. Maybe it's wrong for me to feel like that, but mentioning to why me, or but it's just when I think about some of the things that some of these people who've done the most horrific things, and they sit there and they sit there and they just I don't know. It's like they're not really punished. They're not really punished. If you could sit in prison, they can have TV, they can have TV, they have computers, they have classes, they can go to church. People they come and they at Christmas time they sing them songs. They don't have the best meals in the world, no, but they have, even under the underground of prison, they get drugs. They get commissary, they get all this stuff, they get gyms, and um it's just so wrong. Well, God is pro-life, but see, we should, I agree with you. I don't know why. I just think that it's so wrong when somebody loses their family and we put them in this place and there's no, I mean, they're just basically we're taking care of them until their last day. They get to go to the doctor. They get to go to they get to go to the doctor. They get to go to the dentist. And if they get sick, they're sent to the hospital. And, and like, there was no compassion given to that person that they killed.
Right.
None. There
right.
is none. And then, I mean, I know it's not the perfect answer, but there is no perfect answer.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Answer. And I guess, I just feel the way I feel, and I'm not a bad person. I feel in that way. It's just, I just feel
you're not a bad person. And I understand. I think you were responding to somebody in the chat, but I'll just say, just to be clear, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong at all to feel that way. I hear you. I completely understand why you do feel that way. I'm hearing it sounds like you, and I agree with you about this, by the way. You have a lot of anger around some of the conditions that violent criminals sometimes, the ones who are in prison, like you're talking about, they get the TV, they get, healthcare, so on and so forth. Yeah. I will say this: if you've never visited a maximum security prison, specifically the solitary confinement or the death row, it's not quite like that. I'm just going to tell you, as someone who has volunteered there and has a little bit of experience in that field, that is a very common misconception. And I mean, it could be that it doesn't matter. I mean, that doesn't really matter to you. Ultimately, the fact is these people should not be drawing breath. I hear you. And I also hear about, and this gives me pause. As you said, if my child was involved, pretty much my children is who it would take, I think, if anything was ever going to sway me completely away from how I feel about it now, it would probably have to be one of my children. And I don't know even then if I would, say, well, okay, yeah, in this case, yes, I want them to be put to death.
Prison. My husband used to work in a prison. Okay. When he was laid off from where he was working, he went to work in a prison for 2 years. Okay. Now, mind you, it wasn't. Was it
a maximum security prison or?
Maximum, but it wasn't like the one that put people to death. That's Michigan City. He worked at Westville.
Right. Okay.
So Westville was a prison for mostly the mentally, criminally insane. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's who they dealt with. And he was, he had give medications, watch over the crazies. Okay. And, he used to tell me about it. He says, it's, it's really, really bad, and it wasn't like the type of prison where they locked people. It was a dormitory style, what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know. And I watch these shows about it, and I watch shows about prison. I watch about death penalty. I take a what's it called, like a thing I get every so often about somebody, about the death penalty and people who are for it. Okay. And I mean, it's not, I wouldn't want to see the wrong person get put down. Okay. Or killed. Okay. But on that same respect, I think maybe it's like, what else can you do? I don't know. I don't know what else we could do besides just locking him up, dormitory style. Well, put him in a prison. You know, Do you know in Indiana, if you're in prison, you're on death row, you can have cats. You can have a pet.
I know some prisons do, and I've seen the ones where they have animal training, like dogs, where they train emotional supports.
They're pets. Yeah. They're pets. They're pets. They get, if you are behaving, if you're behaving, and you're on death row, you can have cats. You can have a pet cat. Yep.
I bet you're thinking, oh my God, please don't send those poor cats in there.
No, actually, honestly, this guy, he had a cat, and he treats that cat like very good. Yeah. And the guy did some horrific thing, and he even says he should be he should be dead. He even admitted it. Yeah. He admits what he did. And that's the first part of, just like, even with anything, to admit you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
If you don't, if you're sitting up there and just like, like being an alcoholic, a drug addict, anything, the first part of getting better, healing, and changing your life is to admit you did it, and truly admit it, not just say, I kind of did it, but I mean, yeah, you just, and these, a lot of people in prison do admit it.
Sure. Yeah.
And sometimes those people, I'm telling you, those people might be redeemable, not to ever get out of prison again, maybe never to get out of prison, never to walk their flat feet outside of a prison, but they can maybe help other people. Okay. But the ones who are the dangerous ones are the ones who don't give a damn. Those are the ones who don't give a damn. And those are the ones who should die. Like what's his name? Jeffrey Dahmer didn't give a damn. I mean,
well, yeah, look what happened to him. He was beaten to death in prison. A lot of times that is what happens. There is I'm sure your husband could, well, I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't apply so much in the kind of place where he was working, but you might be aware, though, anyway, if you watch a lot of these shows, and it seems like you kind of are familiar with sort of the dynamics involved. Sometimes that is, especially for people serving life or close to it, they have nothing to lose. It's nothing to them to kill somebody. Oh, what? They're going to get charged with another murder. They're going to go to solitary or segregated confinement for a while. They don't care if they have a beef with somebody on the inside. So it's nothing for them to jump someone. And they child molesters. There's a few crimes that even, that saying no honor among thieves, but there's a few crimes that in prison, especially maximum security, hardcore prisons with lots of gang activity and so on. Mm-hmm. It's very common for some of these more high profile people or people who have committed certain kinds of crimes against old people, against sometimes against women, even though a lot of the people in there have been violent towards women, of course, but definitely against children, to either get beaten to death and the guards to just turn a blind eye, right? Yeah. Or their life made so miserable that they commit suicide. Suicide's rampant in prison,
right?
All kinds of violent crime.
I found a couple people, that committed suicide while he was there, and and I mean, they were mentally ill, and they try, and eventually they're going to succeed.
Right.
And I just, it's sad. It is sad, and You know, I mean, if there was a more perfect way to handle criminals and, to make it fair and, then yeah, I mean, if we could put people in boxes and, just throw them some food underneath the thing, then yeah, but I don't think we could do that because
No, you can't under the Constitution. You can't do that.
Yeah. And, I think it's probably more humane to kill them.
I agree, Pam. I agree with you. I know I'm a monster. Okay, I know I'm a monster.
No, it's just,
It is. I mean, it is. It's like if you have a vicious dog or, a vicious animal of any kind, and they have to put it down
too.
Because it's unpredictable. And that's the way it is, I think, with human beings who there's something so broken in them.
Mm.
And, if you want to discuss how they got that way, not the ones who literally have some chemical imbalance, obviously that's physiological. Okay,
Right.
that's a different discussion. It's a discussion that I'm very interested in, but I think it's a different discussion.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about if you do have someone who is so broken that they're capable of brutalizing another human being, and in some of these cases are so god awful, just beyond brutality. That's not anybody that you can take a chance on. It's unpredictable, like a vicious dog.
Right.
And so I understand, like I said, listen, I'm right there with you for the logic of it. I agree with the logic of it, but where I get stuck is I can't square it with my own. And I don't know. This could be, believe me, that I struggle with this.
I think it's, when you think about it, could I actually do it? I like to think I could. I like to think if this man came and, I wouldn't even say kill, a person gets a death penalty for one person. No. If it was let's say two people in the commission of a crime or in the commission of a robbery and if somebody's killed, or if, a child and in the commission of something else, that's how I would do it. But then again, like you say, there's always those extenuating circumstances. We know who does this, who does that. Maybe this one wasn't as bad. Maybe this one had mental issues. Maybe this one, I mean, there's so much. It's a very difficult decision,
It really is, yeah.
I mean, but I'll tell you something. If you come in my house, you break in my house, okay?
Oh, all bets are off for me.
You break in
That's
my
not
house,
a question.
and you, even though you may not have a gun, if you're in my house, I'll kill you.
Right.
I don't know that you don't have a gun. I'm not going to wait to find out.
And you see, now to me, I agree with you, absolutely. And there's no question about it. I think I saw, Louise, you asked someone in chat a few minutes ago, and excuse me, I probably don't have the full context here, so it's not my intention to take anything out of context. But the part that I saw, you were just posing a hypothetical, if someone, I think you said if they were threatening your children or your family or something, what would you do? I mean, to me, there's, Pam, like you, there's not a question. What I would do.
No,
I would defend them in the self-defense. But see, the thing of it is, here's where I get stuck. Like for me, just like ethically, with the death penalty thing, is that there's so much distance, there's so much time, and time is not really the point though, but there's so much distance between the crime, the activity that this person has committed, and now they're locked away, right? The remedy, if we want to call it that. So the remedy is they're in prison. So they're not a threat to me or you or anybody in society. So you and I are talking about if someone comes into my home or anywhere, by the way, where I am or my family and threatens me in the moment, self-defense, physical self-defense, that's immediate. They are an actual threat to me. Nobody sitting in prison is a threat to me today. That's the difference. To me, that is the difference.
I'll tell you this. I would say maybe not the death penalty if we could say we take away the right for presidents to pardon somebody. We take away that right. We say, okay, you kill somebody, you go to prison. That's life. That means until the day you die.
No parole, no possibility of parole.
no good behavior, no, we have COVID, no, we have some other disease running rampant. I don't care. I don't care. You will never see the light of day. I'm saying never, even some prisons have these things where they could touch their family. You will never touch your family.
Right. Yeah.
Never touch them. You may see them once every 2 months, maybe once every 2 months, and for 10 minutes. No phone calls, no TV in their cells, none of that. No, we're not making it like home. We're making it what it is. That is what you're going to have. You're not going to have, if there's going to be a TV, there'll be one community TV, and nobody has charge of it except the guards. You're going to eat what? The commissary? No, there's no more commissary. They'll provide your deodorant and toothpaste, and that's it. That's it. This is not high school. This isn't college. No college education. No, you gave up that right. No going to church. Bring church to you, or it should be in your head or whatever. None of that. You don't get nothing. You might get a book to read. Might get a book to read if you're good. And then I'd say, okay, then I'd say, okay, no death penalty. Because you know what? And then if you act an ass, you don't even get to go outside. You get to eat and go back to your, or even eat in your thing. That's just how I see it. I think it's too much. It's absolutely they get too much. Too much is given, and too many. We can go to this. You can learn that. You can learn this. You can learn that. And that's great if you're going to get out of prison. But if you're never getting out of prison, you don't need to know all that.
Right. That's right. And as long
any of that stuff.
Well, I mean, as long as it's built into the system, and here's the thing. The United States is so large, we can't just have one set of laws for every state. Under the federal system, if you're charged with a federal crime, yes.
Right.
But the state, most people are in state prisons, right? Mm-hmm. So the laws are different, right, from state to state. But I don't really have a problem with what you've said, but I will just stipulate this for violent criminals, because I have to underscore again, by far the majority in actual factual terms, it's not just a figure of speech, the majority of people in prison today in this country are not there for violent crimes. They're not even there for, many of them are there for crimes against property. They're not even there for crimes against people.
That's true. I have no problem with them. Okay, it should be okay. If you have a drug problem, hey, get you some help. Okay. A lot of people end up with drug problems because they start off, taking opioids because of pain. And then they became a drug addict. Okay. Because they were trying to find the drugs because they cut them off because the government cut you off. And, they decided, well, you can't have this drug anymore. You know what I mean? So, okay. That I'm not talking about. I'm talking about people who have killed people.
Yeah. Right. Right.
I don't care if it's like, if it's a drug deal that went bad, you killed somebody. Now you're in a whole different place. But what if they're going to keep doing drugs if they're a drug addict? That's why they're a drug addict. Now, if they should get them help, just like any person who's an addict. You can't quit just because you say, I'm done. You have to get help. You have to go through. I don't care what anybody say. Some people don't believe in the 12-step program. I say all day long. If you won't get help, if they won't get help, then prison is where they need to be.
Well, see, I would take a little bit of a side turn from you on that, Pam, in this way. K.E. Rose, to answer your thing, here's what I think. If they won't get help, if you're a drug addict and the harm that you're doing is really to yourself, if you're not, let's say you're not robbing people, You're definitely not physically hurting other people or
Mm-hmm.
killing other people. If you're really just destructive to yourself, well, then you know what? If you refuse the help that's offered to you, especially if it is offered to you at taxpayer expense, which would be the case if you were in prison, let's just call it like it is. But whatever the condition is, if you refuse it, well, then that's on you. At
Right.
that point, if it's offered to you in good faith, that's on you. Now, to the part where I align with Pam's thinking on this is prison's where you belong. If that drug addiction that you refuse to get help for leads you down a path that is destructive to others,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, the fact of the matter is that's going to be very hard to avoid just because crimes against property, if nothing else, theft, break-ins, you got to have money to buy drugs. I mean, this is just the fact, right?
Right.
So ultimately, someone is going to be harmed other than you, probably over time. If that's the case, then yeah, I mean, you're going to have to be locked up again.
You know what, Kate, and I'm sorry, K.E. Rose, I know it has to be horrible. And addiction is like, oh my God, if you can get but the problem about addiction is you can't even begin to heal until you admit you have the problem.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you can't, if you don't admit you have a problem, saying, well, we're making you do this just because we make you do that. Okay, you go into a rehab for 2 months and you come out and you go get high again. That high is a good high, so they're going to go out and do it again. But until they see that this is the only way, this is what I want, not what they want. They have to find maybe therapy or whatever, but it's almost like I don't even know what to say. If you put them in therapy, like the law, they say, well, you have to go through this and everything like that, and they let you out in 6 months. If they don't really think they have a problem and they're still a full-blown addict, just because they're not using, they're still going to go back and use. You know what I mean? It's like, for somehow, some way, they have to see the problem. And I think that comes back to where they say about, like, you don't enable, you don't give them money, you don't provide them any sort of comforts, and you let them not deal with it, but if they go to jail, you let them sit there. And then eventually, maybe it'll occur to them about, what is wrong. Because I mean, I have a gambling problem, okay? And the only way I could really get clean and conquer my problem was to admit I have a problem. And it's all an addiction. Mine is just gambling. Your child's is drugs. But the first way of healing is admitting it, and then you can go forward of getting help. But I don't know what the courts could do. They could lock them up, but if they don't get the help that they need, oh my God, and if they don't admit to it, it's really sad. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean this, but it's really, really bad, and addiction it's so horrible. It's just over and over again.
Yeah. And K.E. Rose, I'm really sorry to hear that as well. But, Pam, I've heard that too before. It seems to be really, I think, considered a best practice. The thing that you said about the family not enabling and not giving money and so on and so forth. I understand that that's a best practice, but my gosh, I have to think if that's your child or really any family member, any loved one, that would be so, so hard, to let them suffer the consequences. So my heart really goes out to you, K.E. Rose. That's got to be really tough.
I mean, when that's the only way, because they have to get down. They say, do you hit your rock bottom?
Yeah, yeah.
And if you don't hit your rock bottom, you still have a little bit ways. Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. You hit that rock bottom. There's nobody to turn to. Everybody says, nope, 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 nope. You know, I haven't eaten in 6 weeks or 6 days, you know, and they will use everything and anything, you know. The same thing with me. I need the money. You know, I didn't pay this bill. Can you help me out? It looks so sincere. But until they they admit they have a problem and they go for the help, you know, they have to go for the help. They have to walk in there and say, hey, I have a problem. And then go into counseling, then go into rehab, and then and not for 29 days. 29 days isn't nothing.
No, it's really not.
It's not. You have to go for a long time, especially if they have a really serious problem. I mean, that's what I've been told. Now, I don't know. A lot of people where I used to go to my GA, there are other had drug problems too, you know, and say it's like one after another after other. But you're right, you have to let it go because it's toxic. You know, it's hard. It's hard. And they bring you down, you know. Addicts bring you down.
And you know, I mean, as hard as it is to contemplate or to think about, it could just be because it sounds like this is someone who's, you know, fully grown, albeit it sounds if she's using drugs and maybe sometimes she's not, you know, she's not completely aware of her every decision. But nonetheless, the in-between times when she's lucid and sober, she's grown. And as hard as it is to think about or consider, you know what? If someone, a fully grown, autonomous person who has the capacity to make a decision for themselves, it's heartbreaking to think about. But if they make that decision, I mean, what else really can you do except, as you said, Katie Rose, if it gets to the point where the toxicity is just affecting everyone else so negatively, I mean, as heartbreaking as it is, yeah, I'm really sorry that that's even something that you were faced with, but I know that you're not alone. There's a lot of people who have dealt with similar stuff, but I mean, ultimately we can't make those decisions for other people. You know, we can reach out, we can offer the resources, just like we were talking about with the other thing, but it's up to the other person to pick it up and say, you know, yes, I'll try. I'll at least try. I know I've got a problem. I'll try.
You know, that's so true. I mean, if you have like, you know, she can go into counseling or not counseling, but into rehab and get into a place where, you know, they can really help her and where she knows that this is it. There's nothing. There's always hope for an addict when there's always available money. And if they feel like, well, I can get some money here, I can get some money there, you know, I could say I need shoes and then they'll buy me shoes. I'll go sell those shoes. What will I do? I'll walk down the street with no shoes on because they don't care. They just want their drugs.
Right, right.
And when you feel, when everything's gone and every chance is gone, you know, then maybe that's when they see it. I don't know, but it's sad. It's really, really sad. You know, hopefully she could turn this around. Hopefully, you know, one day she'll wake up and she'll say, look at everything that she's lost and get a good look at herself and not, you know, say, oh man, who is that? Drugs is terrible. Drugs, I mean, and it starts off so simply, you know, so simply things start off. When the first time they used it, they never thought that they would be over here, you know, but you know, nobody thinks that you know, you try whatever, you know, the first time and oh, you didn't think you're going to be way over there, but it happens, you know. And but you know, just keep hope alive, but always make sure that she understands that you're there if she wants to get help.
Yeah, that's I think that's really good,
you know,
advice and suggestion.
Not if she wants a place to sleep, not if she wants food, not if she needs a pair of shoes, but if she wants to go to inpatient, what you call it,
Treatment, yeah, rehab.
right, then that's where I would say that's where she needs to be, because otherwise, I mean, they go to prison, or if they, some people go to prison and they get off the drugs if they're there long enough, and and sometimes you have to go into a hospital, just to detox, and then go into a treatment, but you have to be willing to do that. And a lot of people are too proud. They don't want to, at their lowest, they still have that pride. I'm okay. Take a
Yeah.
look at yourself. You're not okay. This is not who you are. But, what is it? Oh, somebody talked about Texas. What's going
Yeah,
on?
I think that was Angel Feather Fairy. Angel
Yeah.
Fairy Feather. I think that I replied, have you all heard what's going on in Texas? I think maybe
Right.
she was talking, or they were talking about the weather. Yeah, that's horrible. I've been seeing some pictures out of there.
Oh my God. And they don't have any heat, no electricity. I mean,
Pipes bursting, freezing, flooding their houses, and then freezing.
why don't they
Yeah.
get the electricity back on? What are they doing?
It's, oh my gosh, people, it's getting political, Pam. They have their electric power system there is privatized, is my understanding. If someone here knows anybody who lives in Texas, or if you live in Texas, please correct anything that I'm going to say that's wrong, because I haven't studied this in depth or anything. This is just what I've been reading today in the news. It's privatized, and a lot of it has been solar and wind, but the money has not been spent on some of those systems to properly acclimatize it, because of course it's Texas. It's not like it's, Iceland or something. They don't get this sort of weather routinely. So some of those systems have failed because of the extreme coldness, the very extreme temperatures. It's not like it's 32 degrees or something. It's
Right.
a sustained, crazy, extreme weather system. And because of that, their electric grid power system is not equipped, just plain and simple, not equipped to handle it. And so they're scrambling around now after the fact, trying to sort of patch things up and get things going. That's my understanding. And then, of course, that kicks off a whole argument and fight on all the political sides about, well, see, that's what you get. So much for Green New Deal, which there's no such thing, and that's not what it is. And then the other side says, well, that's what you get for not prioritizing putting money in to do it the right way if you're going to do it, and blah, 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 which to me kind of misses the point. The point is people are really in terrible, horrible shape now. I saw there've been a number of carbon monoxide poisoning deaths because people not having power, they'll like go to their cars, and some people aren't aware that, you can't sit in a closed garage or any enclosed system with a running car. You're going to die. You're going to breathe in carbon monoxide, and it's going to poison you and kill you. So I read a couple of stories about a mother and her 2 kids who died that way, and just horrible stories. People freezing to death. I mean, it's terrible. It's just terrible. One of those things where you feel like, how is this even happening in this country? The greatest country in the world. Come on now. Don't we have it together better than this? But no, to be fair, I mean, again, we're talking about Texas. This is not a foreseeable weather event. So it is, you do have to at least grant that much latitude. It's not like people could see this coming and they refuse to plan for it or something. So it's terrible. It's a terrible situation.
Yeah, it's horrible. And I do, I feel so bad for them. I wish there was something I could do.
Yeah, yeah.
And Kate Rose, I'm gonna pray for your daughter, and I feel really bad. I wish there was something I could say, and eventually, even the worst of circumstances can turn around. You never know what it's going to take. It might just take one day wake up and say, hey, I've had enough.
Yeah, very,
bad,
yeah.
bad is bad, and but I'm really, really sorry, because and you know what, Katie Rose, this could happen to any family. It could happen to anybody with children, or it could happen to adults.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah.
Drugs, alcohol, that can happen to anybody. Nobody is immune from it. Nobody is immune. Absolutely nobody is immune. It could happen to anybody sitting here, because things happen and people make choices, bad choices, and it just takes turning around. People have people in their family who are alcoholics, or and you never know. So I never would say it wouldn't be me, because hey, you never know, because we're all human and we make choices, and sometimes they get out of hand. And so I'm so sorry, and I just want to tell you, it has to be horrible feeling. But again, remember, she could wake up tomorrow and say, I want help. And that's when that's when things would be, great.
Yeah, I agree, Pam. I like that. I like that way of viewing it. There's always hope. As long as she's still around, there's hope. People have turned things around at much longer, being in the sort of like in the darkness for much longer than that. So there's always hope. Yeah.
Who would have known I would stop gambling? If y'all ever knew how I gambled, y'all would never would know how I gambled. And if I could stop, then there's hope. It's like, for me, it was a 12-step program. It's serenity prayer, and that's what got me through a lot. And every day does, because I think back, all the things I went through, if it wasn't for that. That's why I'm so apt on the 12-step program. I'm so on the 12-step program, because I really believe in it. I do.
But that's, Pam, do you agree? I think that's why, Katie Rose, I hope that you have a pretty strong support system for yourself and the other members of your family. I even just being here and sharing, thank you even for sharing this about your family and your daughter. So having that kind of support system is really important too, just so you don't forget, you don't feel so isolated and alone. I don't know that you feel that way or have felt that way, but I know that's I think one of the more insidious aspects of being in a situation where you do have loved ones who are in the grips of any kind of really dark place. It doesn't have to be drugs. It could be any sort of, it could be different mental illnesses, anything that just really leads them to that place where people that love them and want to support them try, but that only goes so far. Like Pam was saying, they have to want it and accept the help and say, yes, you're right, accept the help. But in the meantime, for you, really important to have a support system.
Do you have like a Narcanon? Like, okay, we have like, it's like a Narcotics Anonymous, where this is like families of people who have a narcotics problem, addiction. And I think it would be called Narcon or something like that. And it's usually free, and it's support for you, the family members. And they teach you how to deal with it, and the ways to handle things like that.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
I think it's called Narcon. Something like that. Because
I think Narcotics Anonymous. I think, right?
Yeah. And therapy is great, because we tend to blame ourselves for things that maybe our kids do, and and you have to understand, they make their own decisions, and they're adults, You know, we don't make the decisions for them because those wouldn't be the decisions we would make for them. But we could be there for them to get them help, you know, and you shouldn't feel guilty. You shouldn't feel bad. You should feel, I mean, you shouldn't feel any sort of guilt. You should be there when they're ready to get the help, to be their support system. You know, that's all
Yeah.
I have to say. You know, it's
Well said. Well said. Yes, I agree with Diane and Louise. Yeah.
yeah.
Here for you. Yeah, here to support one another. I agree absolutely. And Pam, I want to thank you again, even for hosting things like this and being willing to open up and have a discussion like this that is open and allows people to feel comfortable enough to share things, you know, that maybe are stressing them out, or oh, God knows everybody is so stressed now.
Yes.
It's
I don't,
important.
and
It's
I want to
important.
thank you all for coming. And you know, it's been 3 hours, so I want to thank you
Time
all for
flies. Time
being here.
flies.
And this has been really, you know, helpful to me. It's been interesting. We've had a lot of conversation, and we could do this again. And you know, maybe once, twice a week, or whatever. And there was no drama. That's a great thing. There was none.
Yay! All right. Woohoo!
Yeah. So I'm going to end this right here on a good note, okay?
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And so everybody else, consider jumping on the panel. It'd be more fun, even more fun with more people. But yeah, I'm always happy. Glad to join in. Great to see everybody. I hope everybody has a safe, good night and good couple of days ahead and a good weekend coming up. And thank you again, Pam, so much.
thank you all, and thank you all for the donations. And I want to thank you again. This has been so interesting and so nice. And you all have a wonderful night. Stay warm, stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys later, okay?
See you next time, everybody. Bye. Good night, all.
Bye bye.